Chapter 2293, Reversal for the lives of their family members. Those female servants naturally did not dare to hesitate any longer and pounced towards Yunchujo. Yi Bingyu clenched her teeth anxiously at the side, thinking to herself, what was wrong with great-grandfather? How did he worsen the situation? She could only secretly send a voice transmission talisman to old Master Yi. The Yi family was a first-class family, and even these female servants' spiritual powers were mostly around the sixth layer of the Ling Xian realm. Yunchujo knew that if she continued to be entangled like this, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. She rolled her eyes. To catch a thief, first catch the king. No matter what, she had to catch that old devout woman first. Thinking of this, Yunchujo suddenly shouted, "Old Master Yi, why are you here?" Those maids and old women subconsciously looked at the door, and Yunchujo took advantage of this time to jump to Gusher's side. Gusher was already feeling guilty, so when she looked up at the door, Yunchujia's big kitchen knife was placed on her neck. "Don't move. Otherwise, I'll send you to see my grandmother." Yunchujo said coldly. She heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. This Gusher's spiritual power was not low, and it was also because she was unprepared that she was able to succeed. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to restrain her. Even in her dreams, Ji Shi had never thought that she would be restrained by a little girl at the first layer of the spiritual profound realm, not to mention this little bastard. This was simply a great humiliation. Yi Bingyi's eyes lit up. She could not wait for Yunchujia's hand to slip and kill Gusher directly. Although this person was her grandmother, from the time she could remember, she had been torturing the Minshi. If not for her strong character, she reckoned that the mother and daughter would have suffered even more. You're courting death. Quickly let go of me." Gusher was both angry and afraid. "If I let go of you, then I'm courting death. Old Madame Gu, I really want to dig out your heart to see if it's black. You say that you can actually humiliate your own daughter-in-law and granddaughter like that? Do you think you're still human? I heard the hidden meaning in your words. You can't wait for old Master Yi to die early. You're really a vicious woman. There's probably something wrong with my grandfather's gaze. Even marrying a fool is 100 times better than marrying a vicious woman like you." Yi Bingyu was about to applaud Yunchujo. Well said. Well said. This was a vicious and pious old woman. Although Minshi was also very appeased in her heart, she still had to do what she had to do on the surface. Thus, she said with a trembling voice, "Fang Chao, this is all a misunderstanding. Please let the old madam go." Of course, Yunchujo knew that Minshi's words were just for show. She pursed her lips and ignored Minshi. Minshi could not wait for Yunchujo to ignore her. With a cry, she fainted. "Mother! Mother! Are you alright?" "Woo, mother," Yi Bingyu shouted at the side as she saved Minshi. The corners of Yunchujia's eyes twitched. It turned out that this Minshi was still a good actor. No wonder even though she had not given birth to a son for so many years, she still did not let her second uncle take in a concubine. A room full of old ladies and maids looked at each other. If there was a clever one, he would run out to ask for help. Yunchujo did not mind. At worst, she could turn the Yi residence upside down. In any case, she had to take care of everything every day. Moreover, old Master Yi would not allow Gusher to act so recklessly. The interesting footage just now had been recorded. A daughter-in-law who wished for her to die early, old Master Yi would only speak to her unless he had a brain. A wife who wished to kill her granddaughter and ruin her future would only protect her unless her grandfather was kicked in the head by a donkey. Chapter 2294 was simply too weak. Yunchujo did not like Gusher. Although she was not sure if she was the culprit that caused her mother's expulsion, she could tell at a glance that she was not a good person. Torturing her to vent her anger was also good. Therefore, Yunchujo secretly poked Gusher's sore spot, and Gushi immediately wailed like a ghost. Yun Chuzhou pouted and said to the people in the room, "To be honest, I only forced her with a knife. I did not hurt her. TSK, the wife of the head of a first-class family. She is simply a shrew." Although the maid in the room was from the Gushi, she also felt that the Gushi was a little embarrassed. "That Mo Fangchao didn't hit or hurt you, so why are you howling? Little bitch. You'll die a horrible death. Just you wait, don't fall into my hands, or it'll kill you. It'll definitely kill you. You're just like that little bitch Yilan, a bitch." Yun Chuzhou did not say a word and just let her scold as much as she wanted. After all, the recording stone was recording everything. Gushi was in too much pain, even Yi Yuanliang was filled with hatred. "It's all that bitch's fault. She just had to pamper a bitch who had thousands of people riding on thousands of people to sleep with you. Fortunately, my heart is good. Otherwise, there would be no way for us mother and daughter to live." Yun Chuzhou frowned. From what she heard from Gushi, her grandmother was from a brothel. For a brothel girl to marry into a first-class family, one could imagine the torture she had to endure. Just as Gushi was cursing loudly, an angry shout came from outside. "Slut! Shut up!" Yun Chuzhou knew that either her grandfather or old Master Yi had arrived, so she secretly put away the large kitchen knife. She jumped to Yi Bingji's side and howled, "Second aunt! Second aunt! SOB, SOB, it's all my fault. I didn't stop old Madame Gu in time. If anything were to happen to you, how would my sister bring you alive?" Min Shi was so angry that she almost turned into a corpse. "What is this little girl singing? So it turns out that I pretended to faint for you?" Yi Bingyu, who was kneeling by the side, was dumbfounded. How could a person be so shameless? However, she would not be foolish enough to expose it. After all, it would be best if she could see that Gushi was unlucky. The person who walked in from outside was Yi Yuanliang. Old Master Yi was out on business. When he received Yi Bingji's voice transmission talisman, he asked Yi Yuanliang to stop Gushi. Yi Yuanliang originally thought that by sending a voice transmission talisman to Gushi would be able to restrain herself. Who would have thought that Yi Bingyu would tell him that Gushi wanted to kill Mo Fangchao even more? Only then did Yi Yuanliang rush over. Yi Yuanliang had thought that the first thing he saw when he entered the house was that poor granddaughter being pressed to the ground by everyone and was about to be beaten to death. However, when he saw the situation inside the house, he was a little confused. Gushi's poisonous woman was wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. His second daughter-in-law fainted on the ground. Two little girls were crying beside her. Although he had never seen one of them crying with snot and tears in her eyes. But one look and they knew that she was the daughter of the land girl. What on earth was going on? Yun Chuzhou secretly pinched Min Shi. That meant that she should wake up. Otherwise, how could she continue singing? Min Shi could only open her eyes. She heard a sharp cry beside her. "Second aunt. You're finally awake. SOB, I thought you were going to die from anger. My poor second aunt." Min Shi felt that her acting skills had already reached perfection. After all, the entire Yi family now believed that second madam was the most gentle and weak person. Who would have thought that she could be compared to this niece? Fuck, she was simply too weak. Chapter 2295. Just wait for the divorce papers. Yi Bingyu, who was standing at the side, was already dumbfounded. She had even forgotten to cry. Yun Chuzhou pinched her and only then did she regain her senses. If she wanted to compete in crying, she definitely would not be able to compete with Yun Chuzhou. Thus, she simply cried silently. In addition, the rims of her eyes were originally red, which made her even more miserable. When this scene fell into Yi Yuanliang's eyes, he automatically imagined that Gushi had forced his second daughter-in-law, Min Shi, to faint, and forced her granddaughter and granddaughter to cry. Yet, this shrew was actually still throwing a tantrum there. She was simply an unreasonable and vicious woman. Gushi, shut up for me. Or else I'll divorce you. Yi Yuanliang had long been dissatisfied with Gushi. If it wasn't for the fact that he already had children and grandchildren, he would have long divorced Gushi. Gushi sniffled and cried, "Master, I'm going to die of pain. That little girl just used a knife to force my neck. She wants to kill me." Yi Yuanliang glanced at her. "You, this poisonous woman, actually slandered me in order to frame Feng Chao. There isn't a single wound on your body. How could it be so painful? Moreover, you are at the 5th layer of the spiritual void tier, and Feng Chao is only at the 1st layer of the spiritual profound tier. How could she threaten you?" Gushi was anxious. "Master, what I said is absolutely true. If you don't believe me, you can ask them." The old woman who had been kicked out earlier quickly said, "Yes, master. That young lady did use a large kitchen knife to force Madam. She even kicked the servant out." Yi Yuanliang turned around and kicked. That unlucky old woman was once again kicked out. This time, she was even more miserable. She directly vomited blood and fainted. "Gushi, do you think I don't know that this room is filled with your people? Naturally, I agree with what you said. I've tolerated you for decades. Now, I don't want to endure any longer. Just wait for your divorce papers. Feng Chao, Bing Yu, help the second son's family members follow me." Yi Yuanliang did not even glance at Gushi after he finished speaking, he directly left the house. Yi Bingjia's heart was very complicated. She, her mother, and the old pious woman had fought for so many years. Although she could occasionally gain the upper hand, this was the first time she had won so completely. Seeing the old pious woman almost vomiting blood, it was really great. Although this Mo Feng Chao was a bit of a waste, and although it was a bit detestable, it still had some redeeming qualities. She was simply a sharp weapon to deal with the old pious woman. Just now, she heard that the old pious woman wanted to put her under the name of their second son. If Yi Bingyu had heard this news before, she would definitely not have been happy. But now, it was simply what she wanted. With this big killer weapon, dealing with the old pious woman was simply a piece of cake. She did not think that her grandfather would really divorce the old pious woman. If he could, he would have done so long ago. She reckoned that he would only be grounded for a few days. Yi Yuanliang was both angry and angry. He had always felt guilty towards the Lan family and Yi Lan. Now that his granddaughter was finally found, he did not expect that he would be wrong the moment he arrived. It was all because of that poisonous woman from the Gushi. Yi Yuanliang wanted to ask Yun Chujiu about her experiences over the past few years. However, the old master had not asked anything yet, so he could not overstep his boundaries. He could only say, "You guys can go back first. I won't let you suffer for nothing." Min Shi bowed and brought Yi Bingyu and Yun Chujiu back to her own courtyard. Min Shi's courtyard was not too far from Yi Bingjia's courtyard. She ordered a maid to bring some face-washing water. The three of them washed up and then sat down. Perhaps it was because they had acted together before, Min Shi felt that Yun Chujiu was very pleasing to the eye. She smiled and said, "Sister Lan is a beauty. I didn't expect you to be even more beautiful than your mother. You're really a beauty." Chapter 2296's acting skills were also very good. Second aunt, I like to hear the truth the most. Please praise me a little more, Yun Chujiu said shamelessly. Min Shi's face stiffened and she continued to laugh. Your personality is quite different from your mother's. Sister Lan isn't as lively as you. What lively? She's just thick-skinned. Yi Bingyu pouted and said from the side. Min Shi glared at her. Nonsense. If it weren't for your sister Feng Chao, we would have to kneel down again today. Yi Bingyu pouted. Although she was unwilling to admit it, it was all thanks to Yun Chuzhou today. Otherwise, her mother would have been in a dilemma. She definitely could not offend her great-grandfather. Gushi would make things difficult for her again. In the end, it was all that old devout woman's fault. It would be better if her grandfather divorced her. Second aunt, listen to the old madam. Does the old master want to place me under your and second uncle's name? Yun Chuzhou asked curiously. Your uncle did mention it to me before. I have no objections. Back then, I was on good terms with Sister Lan. I would naturally be happy to help her take care of you, said Min Shi with a smile. Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips in her heart. What she said sounded better than what she sang. This Min Shi was used to acting. If she was really on good terms with Yi Lan, Yi Bingyu would not have said that Yi Lan was a concubine's daughter who had her name removed. However, no matter what, the enemy of the enemy was a friend. It was obvious that the Min Shi hated the Gushi. Temporarily forming an alliance was beneficial. Second aunt, I'm really curious. Why was my mother expelled at that time? Yun Chuzhou asked curiously. Yi Bingyu also widened her eyes. Yes, mother. Why was Aunt Lan expelled at that time? I heard that Aunt Lan was much stronger than Yi Bingying at that time. If she were to apply for the primordial chaos sect, it wouldn't be a problem for her to become an inner sect disciple. Min Shi sighed. Feng Chao, it's not that second aunt didn't want to tell you, but it's this matter. Old master had something to say and no one can tell him. If you really want to know, when you see old master at night, you can ask him yourself. When Yun Chuzhou heard what Lady Min said, it was naturally not appropriate for her to ask further. She changed the topic and talked about some other topics. As the three of them were talking, housekeeper Fu came over. Young miss, old master wants you to go over. Yun Chuzhou nodded. After housekeeper Fu left, she lowered her voice and said to Lady Min and Yi Bingyu, second aunt, sister Bingyu, I didn't bring any greeting gifts for you this time. I'll let that old devout woman be locked up for at least a month as a greeting gift. After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, she turned around and left with a smile. The Min Shi and Yi Bingyu looked at each other. In their hearts, they felt that Yun Chuzhou's words were somewhat unreliable. It was possible that Gushi would be locked up for 3 to 5 days, but a month was probably impossible, right? On this side, Yun Chuzhou followed housekeeper Fu to old master Ye's study. Housekeeper Fu, you are well informed. What do you think about what happened at old madam's place today? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Housekeeper Fu stumbled and almost fell to the ground. Even in his dreams, he never thought that Yun Chuzhou would ask him this question. He wanted to say that he didn't know, but since Yun Chuzhou asked, he naturally believed that he had spies. Housekeeper Fu could only clench his teeth and say, Miss, you are very skilled. Yes, your acting skills are also very good. Housekeeper Fu, you flatter me. Housekeeper Fu, you are very good at doing things. Your future is boundless. Housekeeper Fu laughed dryly and said a few words modestly. He quickened his pace, afraid that this great aunt would have another problem. Chapter 2297, Confrontation. When he saw old master Ye's courtyard door, housekeeper Fu finally felt relieved. After a maid passed the message, housekeeper Fu accompanied Yun Chuzhou into old master Ye's study. Old master Yi waved his hand at housekeeper Fu. Housekeeper Fu tactfully took his leave. Yun Chuzhou was surprised to see old master Ye's appearance. She thought old master Yi was an old man, but he actually looked about the same age as Mo Xiaoting. The higher the spiritual power, the better the maintenance. As Yun Chuzhou sized up old master Yi also sized her up. When he saw Yun Chuzhou's face, he couldn't help but be shocked. She was indeed 70% similar to Lan Lan. Thinking of Yilan, Old Master Yi looked a little disappointed. Yun Chuzhou glanced at Old Master Yi without changing her expression. She was a little confused. He had a complicated expression on his face. There was joy, sadness, disappointment, and anger. These emotions were not directed at her, but at her mother. Logically speaking, how could a daughter of a concubine who had been removed from the family be so important to the master of the Yi family? Yun Chuzhou followed the principle of not being moved by the enemy. She just stood there obediently and did not say anything. She wanted to see what this old fox was planning. Old Master Yi's complicated expression only flashed past for a moment before returning to his expressionless face. It was as if it was just Yun Chuzhou's misconception. Sit down. Old Master Yi pointed to a chair at the side. Yun Chuzhou naturally did not stand on ceremony. She sat on the chair, looking like a well-behaved child. I heard that you suffered a lot in the Qingxian continent. Do you resent the Mo family and our Yi family? Old Master Yi did not mention the matter of Gushi, but asked a question that Yun Chuzhou could not answer. In answer to Old Master Yi, although I am an adopted daughter, the Yun family regards me as their own child and treats me very well. As for the matter of not being able to cultivate, that is just God's training for me. There is nothing to complain about. Yun Chuzhou said with a faint smile. Old Master Yi's eyes flashed with a bright light. What a sharp-tongued little girl. She did not answer his question directly. Her words seemed to be open-minded, but in fact, she used the Yun family to contrast the Mo family and the Yi family's ruthlessness. If I want to put you under your second uncle's name, what do you think? Old Master Yi said expressionlessly. Although Yun Chuzhou had already learned about this matter from the Minshi, she was still a little surprised. It was common for step-in-law brothers or descendants of the same clan to be their children. It was really rare for such a step-in-law to marry a daughter out of wedlock. Moreover, her mother was a step-by-step daughter who had her name removed. No matter how she looked at this matter, it felt strange. Old Master Yi's eyes stared intently at Yun Chuzhou's face, wanting to see her reaction. However, he was disappointed. Other than rolling her eyes, the little girl did not have any other special expression. Old Master Yi, am very grateful for your kindness. However, my father is still alive and my father's family can still maintain their livelihood. Why did you take me into the Yi family? According to what I know, my mother's name was removed by the Yi family back then. Yun Chuzhou raised her head and looked straight into Old Master Yi's eyes, she said slowly. Old Master Yi did not expect Yun Chuzhou to actually ask him the reason directly, he smiled. You must know that if you are recorded under your second uncle's name, you are the first-class family's daughter-in-law. Regardless of whether it is for your future development or getting married, it will be of great benefit. As for the reason, you have the blood of the Yi family flowing in your body. Wouldn't it be logical for you to be registered under the name of the Yi family? As for your father's family, you don't have to worry. I will send someone to inform them. They will definitely not object. Chapter 2298, The Truth of Yilan's Expulsion Pui. Who are you trying to fool? However, there was one thing that was certain. If the Yi family sent someone to tell the Mo family would definitely agree to it. Even if they had 100 guts, they would not only be going against the Yi family. Old Master Yi, I wonder if this matter is set in stone, or if you want my opinion. No matter how you think about it, there's no reason for you to disagree, is there? Old Master Yi stared at Yun Chuzhou with a profound gaze, and his fingers could not help but knock on the table. Old Master Yi, what you said makes sense. Regardless of whether I'm willing or not, it seems that this matter must be carried out. I only have one request. I want to know the truth of my mother's expulsion back then. Yun Chuzhou looked straight at Old Master Yi with clear eyes. Since there was no room for negotiation, then he had to strive for the greatest benefit. Old Master Yi seemed to have expected Yun Chuzhou to say this. He did not look surprised at all and drank a mouthful of tea instead. He sighed. Lan is a genius that has appeared in our Yi family for many generations. Our Yi family has placed great hopes on her. Therefore, even though she is only a concubine's daughter, she has obtained the best resources in the Yi family. Otherwise, she wouldn't have moved into Xiaohua Garden. Our plan for her is to enter the primordial chaos sect and glorify our Yi family. When old Master Yi said this, his expression became gentle, and his eyes were filled with longing. Yun Chuzhou knew that there would definitely be a turning point in the future. Otherwise, her mother would not have been expelled. Because of Lan's beautiful appearance and outstanding talent, many families expressed their intention to marry her. Even the Fan family, a super family tens of thousands of miles away, sent people to act as matchmakers for their eldest young master, Fan Jichuan. When we learned that the Fan family came to visit, we were naturally overjoyed. At that time, your mother was out training and was not at home. She did not reply even when I sent her a voice transmission talisman. On one hand, I sent people to look for your mother. On the other hand, I sent people to investigate Fan Jiquan's situation. The people who asked for information reported that not only was Fan Jichuan a talented person, but he also did not have any bad hobbies. We were afraid that we would miss this marriage of the Fan family, so we agreed to this marriage without hesitation. I believe that your mother would not disagree. Yun Chuzhou sneered in her heart. What do you mean you would not disagree? It was all because your Yi family took a liking to the Fan family's family background and did not consider whether Yi Lan liked it or not. Great-grandfather Yi took a sip of his tea and continued. The two families exchanged the gung invitation and decided to get married in the spring of the second year. Fan Jichuan is going to participate in the primordial chaos sex test anyway. At that time, the two of them can support each other. 1 month later, your mother returned. After hearing about this matter, she refused to agree to this marriage no matter what. I asked her the reason and she said that she already has someone she likes. I asked her who that person was, but she refused to tell me. I thought she was throwing a tantrum and locked her in the courtyard in a fit of anger, not allowing her to come out. When the Fan family heard that the Lan girl had returned, Fan Jichuan came over to visit, so I also lifted the Lan girl's grounding. When Fan Jichuan saw the Lan girl, he was very fond of her. At that time, I was very happy. I thought that the two young people would develop feelings after spending a few days together, and the Lan girl's slight awkwardness would disappear. I didn't expect that. When old Master Yi said this, he seemed to be a little embarrassed to speak. He gulped down a mouthful of tea before saying, I didn't expect that Wan, who is Lan's eldest sister, also took a liking to that Fan Jichuan. That Fan Jichuan just had to be a philandering seed. He did not reject Wan's goodwill. Chapter 2299, The Truth of Yi Lan's Expulsion. When Yun Chuzhou heard great-grandfather Yi say this, she immediately imagined a scene of the eldest daughter framing the daughter of a concubine and snatching the man of her dreams. Damn it, if it was really Ji Shi and her daughter who framed her mother, she would not forgive them. Just as Yun Chuzhou was thinking, great-grandfather Yi gulped down another mouthful of tea, then he said with a stiff face, in a few days, the Lan girl blocked that Fan Jichuan and the Wan girl on the bed and caused a huge ruckus. She even threatened to kill this pair of them. The Fan family took a fancy to the Lan girl. Why would they marry the Wan girl? Even if she was the daughter of the first wife, it would not work. Hence, the Fan family proposed to marry the big and give away the small. That was to marry the Lan girl as the main wife and let the Wan girl be the side chamber. The Lan girl would not agree no matter what. Not only did she beat up the Fan family's lobbyist, but she also beat Fan Jichuan half to death. Later on, she lay in bed for half a year before she recovered. The Fan family was naturally unwilling to let it go. The Lan girl told me that in order not to implicate the Yi family, she would rather be expelled from the Yi family and never appear in the eastern continent again. Great-grandfather Yi let out a long sigh. When you heard this, did you feel that your mother had suffered a great injustice? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and did not comment. She knew that great-grandfather Yi still had a future. Great-grandfather Yi snorted coldly. The rest of the Yi family also thought so, but didn't they think that the land girl was extremely intelligent? How could she be so reckless? All of this was planned by Lan alone. It was she who single-handedly made Wan and Fan Jichuan get together. Her goal was to leave the Yi family. I didn't expect that the granddaughter that I carefully nurtured would actually trick me. At that time, I was both angry and sad. I could only agree to her request and gather everyone in the Yi family to remove Lan's name. Yun Chujio's eyes were wide open. She could not help but clap her hands in praise for Yilan. This little character was really too rare. Decisive, ruthless, and bold. However, what old Fox Yi said was definitely not true. There was definitely some anger and sadness, but most of it was probably to protect the Yi family. After all, if the Fan family really wanted to pursue this matter, the Yi family would not be able to bear it, they could only abandon the pawn to protect the carriage. Yun Chujio stood up and took out a teacup. She shamelessly picked up Old Master Yi's teapot and poured a cup of water. Then what happened after that? Old Master Yi's expression stiffened. He continued, after that, the Fan family married the Wan girl as a concubine. This incident was considered to have passed. After a few years, I secretly sent people to inquire about the news of the land girl. When I found out that she had passed away, I was disheartened and did not pay attention to the Mo family's matters anymore. Yun Chujio sipped a cup of tea and poured another. She asked with a faint smile, then aren't you afraid that the Fan family will bring up the Yi family again after you brought me back? Great-grandfather Yi smiled and said, it has been almost 20 years. In addition, Lan has passed away. The Fan family will not come looking for trouble again. Moreover, Wan's fate is good. After Fan Jiquan's wife died, she was promoted. The Fan Mingchuan that she gave birth to was favored by the head of the Fan family. The Fan family will not bring up the past again. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. She said it easily. Although Yiwan had begged for mercy, it was inevitable that she would be jealous of her niece who looked very similar to Yilan. She might have some sinister tricks up her sleeve. Moreover, that old devout woman from the Gushur clearly saw her as a thorn in her side. Perhaps the person who had tried to kill her before was from the Gushur sect. The Yi family was not a good place either. However, even if they did not enter the Yi family, if that Gushur and Yiwan really wanted to deal with her, they would also make a move. It was better to use the Yi family as an umbrella. Yun Chujio thought of this and asked with a smile, Old Master Yi, since you have already said so much, if I continue to refuse, it will appear that I am too insensible. However, I have a request, I hope that you will agree to it. Chapter 2300 My name is Yun Chujio. Old Master Yi frowned slightly. What request? It's fine to record it under second uncle's name, but I don't want to change my surname. I also don't want to be called Mo Fangchao. Can I still call my original name, Yun Chujio? And I don't want to change my name either. Let's talk about it from my mother. I'll call her whatever I should. Sure, as you wish. Since you've agreed, I'll officially introduce you to everyone tomorrow morning. From now on, you'll be a member of the Yi family. Great-grandfather Yi had never taken a liking to the Mo family, much less what kind of lousy name he had given them. Where in the world would there be plenty of fish in the sea? As for the way he addressed her, it didn't matter. Not changing the way he addressed her was easier for everyone to accept. The two of them chatted for a while more before Old Master Yi waved his hand to signal for Yun Chujio to leave. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and did not move. Old Master Yi frowned and asked, "What else do you want?" Yun Chujio solemnly bowed to Old Master Yi and said, "Little Jiu greets great-grandfather. Little Jiu is young and ignorant. If you are reckless in the future, please protect me. Great-grandfather Yi could not describe the feeling in his heart. He waved his hand. As long as you are obedient, I will naturally send you a bright future. Go out. Yun Chujio still did not move, instead, she smiled and took out a recording stone. Great-grandfather, I believe you have heard about what happened this afternoon. However, what others reported and what they heard are still different. I happened to record the incident. You can relieve your boredom when you are free. After Yun Chujio finished speaking, she bowed and obediently left. Old Master Yi leaned back on the chair and did not move for a long time. This little girl was able to bend and stretch. Although her aptitude was not comparable to that of Lan Girl, her personality was able to accomplish things. It seemed that bringing her back was the right thing to do. Perhaps there would be some fortuitous encounter. Old Master Yi picked up the recording stone, and Gusher's sharp and unkind voice came from within. If I say one more thing, the Yi family will be mine to decide sooner or later. Old Master Yi was so angry that he broke the teapot and the teacup into pieces. Housekeeper Fu, who was outside, was so scared that he trembled. Could it be that Miss Cousin had angered Old Master Yi? But when she saw Miss Cousin coming out, she was very happy. What on earth was going on? Yun Chujio had just left the great elder's courtyard when she saw Yi Bingyu stretching her neck and looking around. It was obvious that she was waiting for her. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh at herself. She did not expect that she and Yi Bingyu would really become sisters after going through so many twists and turns. It was really a bad fate. Yi Bingyu grabbed Yun Chujio and said in a low voice, "What did great-grandfather say to you? Did he say that he would put you under my father's name?" Yun Chujio nodded, then, a bright smile appeared on her small face. "Sister Bingyu, my new identity document will be issued soon. Don't call me Mo Fengchao anymore. I want to return to my previous name. Yun Chujio, you can just call me Little Jiu." Yun Chujio let out a long breath. She could finally get rid of the stupid name of Mo Fengchao. She had already thought it through. When she had a firm foothold in the Yi family, she would find Mo Cheng and ask him about the circumstances of her mother's marriage to him and the cause of her death. If it had nothing to do with the Mo family, then it would be fine. But if it was really the Mo family that harmed her mother, she did not care about blood ties or not, she would not spare Mo Cheng. As for the Yi family, if what old Master Yi said was true, then the Yi family could be kept for now. If there were any discrepancies, she would not let her mother suffer in vain. Chapter 2301, Yi Lan's Birth Mother, Little Jiu. That sounds like a little girl from a village. It suits you quite well. Yi Bingyu thought that it would be good to change her name. Otherwise, whenever she thought of the name Mo Fengchao, she would feel uncomfortable all over and would grit her teeth in hatred. Sister Bingyu, tell me about the composition of the Yi family so that I can be mentally prepared. After all, if I make a fool of myself tomorrow, our second branch will not be proud, right? Yun Chujio had a good point, she could quickly adapt to her new identity. The two of them chatted as they walked. Yun Chujio had a general understanding of the members of the Yi family. Although the Yi family was a large family, the children of the direct branch were not very prosperous. The old master of the Yi family only had one son, Yi Yuanliang. Yi Yuanliang was also Yun Chujio's grandfather. Yi Yuanliang's wife, Gusher, gave birth to 2 sons and a daughter for him. The eldest, Yi Zhihui, married Lu Shi and had a son and a daughter, only Yi Wenhong and Yi Bingying. The second, Yi Zhiyong, married Min Shi and only had a daughter, Yi Bingyu. Gusher's daughter was the servant girl that the old master called Wan. Her full name was Yi Xinwan, Yi Lan's full name was Yi Xinlan. However, she felt that calling Yi Lan sounded better, so she took the initiative to change her name to Yi Lan. Since she was favored in the Yi family, it was up to her. Yi Lan's birth mother, the Lan family, was Yi Yuanliang's side chamber. It was said that she bought it in the furnace hall. Therefore, even if Yilan was favored, the Lan family's status in the mansion was very average due to their low status. Later on, they fell seriously ill and lost their status. This was probably one of the reasons why Yilan was eliminated from the Yi family. After all, her mother was no longer around. Lan. Yun Chuzhou subconsciously thought of Lan Luochen. This surname was very rare. However, the Lan family was from the Tianyuan continent, so it should not have anything to do with her grandmother. Yi Bingyu kissed her lips. Fortunately, Yun Chujia's brain was good. Otherwise, she would not have been able to remember all these people. Oh right, Mo, little Jiu, didn't you brag about grounding that old woman for a month? Did you tell great-grandfather? Yi Bingyu asked expectantly. Yun Chuzhou smiled mysteriously. I'll know tomorrow morning. Don't worry, I've always been the most reliable in handling matters. Yi Bingyu was skeptical, but she remembered another important matter, and her expression turned serious. Yun Chuzhou, I know that you have a powerful backer. However, if you want to harm our Yi family, I'm not done with you. Even if I have to risk my own life, I'll still kill you. Yun Chuzhou could not help but sigh. Even the most detestable person had their own loveliness. This Yi Bingyu was arrogant and despotic, ruthless and merciless, but she treated her family well. Sister Bingyu, you are really thinking too much. From now on, I am your sister, and I am a member of the Yi family. Why would I harm the Yi family? I can't wait for the Yi family to become a super aristocratic family. I can even borrow some money from them. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Yi Bingyu thought about it and agreed. She was now a member of the Yi family. She would only go against the Yi family if she was mentally ill. The two of them returned to Yi Bingjia's courtyard. Yi Bingyu was worried. Where should Yun Chuzhou stay at night? Although she didn't hate her so much now, she still couldn't accept sleeping on the same bed as her. I'll sleep in a side room. I'll move into Xiaohua Garden tomorrow, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Yi Bingyu originally wanted to live in peace with Yun Chuzhou, however, she couldn't help but ask, Yun Chuzhou, is there something wrong with your brain? Let me tell you, that old woman dotes on Yi Bingying the most, and her great-grandfather and grandfather also think highly of her. Why would they let her give Xiaohua Garden to you? Chapter 2302, The Little Flame Who Did Bad Things. Sister Bingyu, it's better to do it well than to say it well. Just wait and see the result. There are probably a lot of rooms in Xiaohua Garden. When the time comes, we'll live together. If anyone treats me better, I'll treat her very well, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Yi Bingyu didn't expect Yun Chuzhou to say that. She was a little touched, and her expression was a little unnatural. She shouted to the outside of the room, Lu Li, give the side room to little sister Jiu. Little sister Jiu. Yun Chuzhou could not help but secretly laugh in her heart. This Yi Bingyu really changed fast. Yun Chuzhou did not hate Yi Bingyu as much as before. The Min family was often tortured by the Gu family. If Yi Bingyu was not more forceful, those servants would probably ride on her head. However, Yun Chuzhou was even more unable to guess old Master Ye's intentions. The second wife did not have a son. Even if she wanted to succeed, she should have succeeded with a boy. What use was there for her to succeed? Or could it be that the second uncle was easier to talk to than the first uncle, so he gave her to the second wife? Yun Chuzhou could not understand, so she decided not to think about it. Anyway, she had always believed that if someone did not offend her, she would not offend them. If someone offended her, she would kill them. After Yun Chuzhou washed up, she first reported to Jin Ji that she was safe. Then, she laid on the bed and thought about the Yi family. While she was half asleep, Yun Chuzhou felt that her right palm was burning. She raised her hand and saw that the dim flame mark had become beautiful. It was as if the flame inside was about to burst out of her palm. While Yun Chujio was stunned, the flame actually jumped out of Yun Chujio's right palm and went out through the gap in the door. Yun Chujio was dumbfounded. Back then, she couldn't get the damn flame out no matter how hard she tried. Why did it come out by itself this time? Just as Yun Chujio was in a daze, the flame flew back and danced up and down a few times. Its intention was obvious, and it wanted Yun Chujio to follow it. Yun Chujio pointed at herself. Are you sure? My spiritual power is so low. Won't I alert the guards the moment I go out? It's better for you to go out alone, no, with the flame. The flame trembled. Apparently, it felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. With a whoosh, it flew out again. Yun Chujio got off the bed and looked out through the crack of the door. She saw that the flame had disappeared. She did not know where it had flown to. Yun Chujio touched her chin. It did not look like it had abandoned her. It seemed like it was looking for something or doing something. What could a flame do? Could it be that it was a male and had gone to look for the mother flame? And then it would create a small flame. Yun Chujio was sitting by the bed, and just as her imagination was running wild, the flame flew back and entered Yun Chujio's right palm. Yun Chujio did not know if it was an illusion, but she felt that the flame seemed to be bigger than before. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. She thought that the small flame must have done something bad. Yun Chujio lay on the bed again. Not long after, she heard a commotion outside, saying something about losing something. Yun Chujio curled her lips. She did not know what the little flame had eaten. Anyway, she would know tomorrow. Go to sleep. The next day, when she woke up, Yi Bingyu came over gloatingly. Hey, let me tell you something happy. The 1,000-year-old fire marrow that my uncle collected with great difficulty was gone. I heard that the 1,000-year-old fire marrow was most likely intelligent, so he ran away by himself. My uncle almost went crazy with anger. Ha! Yun Chujio looked shocked, but she was rolling around with laughter in her heart. How was the 1,000-year-old fire marrow intelligent? It was stolen. No wonder it felt a little bigger. It turned out that after swallowing the 1,000-year-old fire marrow, it really had the potential to be a foodie. Chapter 2303, 1,000-year-old fire marrow. Yun Chujio glanced at Yi Bingyu. Sister Bingyu, why do I feel like you're gloating? Yi Bingyu pursed her lips. You don't know. My uncle and aunt bullied my father and mother many times because of that old woman. Only cousin Wen Hong is better in the big house. The other three aren't good people. It is said that this 1,000-year-old fire marrow was prepared by my uncle to give to a small leader of the primordial chaos sect. This way, Yi Bingying will be taken care of when she takes the entrance test. I didn't expect that she would run away on her own. This is karma. Yun Chujio nodded, but she was still puzzled. Shouldn't the 1,000-year-old fire marrow be kept in the storage ring? How could it be gone? Besides, could it have been stolen? Yi Bingyu looked at her with disdain. You're really a country bumpkin. How can the storage ring withstand the 1,000-year-old fire marrow's heat? Only a special kind of ice silk net can withstand it for a few days. After Uncle came back, he put the 1,000-year-old fire marrow in the cellar in his yard. There was a formation around it to isolate the heat and prevent people from stealing it. If someone stole it, there wouldn't be no trace of it. Therefore, the 1,000-year-old fire marrow must have gained sentience and ran away by itself. It really deserved it. Yi Bingyu felt that ever since Yun Chujio came, everything that had happened had been beneficial to the two of them. Since that was the case, she would not pursue the past. Yun Chujio secretly laughed in her heart. Since they thought that the 1,000-year-old fire marrow was something that she had run away on her own, it was best to avoid being traced back to her. After the two of them had breakfast, Yi Bingyu said, "Let's go." We're not welcomed. If we're late, that old woman will definitely find fault with us again. Yun Chujio smiled slyly. Sister Bingyu, let's not go to the meeting hall. Let's go to great-grandfather's courtyard. Yi Bingyu frowned. Are you planning to curry favor with great-grandfather? I advise you to save your breath. Yi Bingying had previously been eagerly delivering tea and pastries, but in the end, she was chased out by great-grandfather, causing her to be covered in dirt. If you want to go, go yourself. I'm not going to be a burden. Alright, if you want to be scolded by Gushir, go to the meeting hall. I reckon that old woman has already thought of a way to deal with us. I advise you to send someone to inform second aunt and have her go to the meeting hall. In any case, she fainted yesterday. Her body must be very weak. Yi Bingyu thought for a moment and felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense. Yesterday, that old woman suffered such a huge loss. Today, she would definitely find her way back. She said to the maid, Lioli, go and inform my mother. Yun Chujio was not worried about Min Shi at all. She was a skilled actress and would definitely know what to do. Yun Chujio and Yi Bingyu came to the outside of Old Master Ye's courtyard. The maid wanted to go in and report, but Yun Chujio stopped her with a smile. Sister Tsuelan, well, just wait here for great-grandfather. You don't have to go in and report. Miss Cousin, you can just call me Tsuelan in the future. Since the two of you don't want to disturb Old Master, then I won't go in and report. Chui Luan was very surprised. Firstly, she didn't expect this miss to be so polite to her. Secondly, she didn't expect this miss to know her name. Yun Chujio nodded with a smile and pulled Yi Bingyu to wait by the side. The reason why she knew Chui Luan's name was because she heard housekeeper Fu and Chui Luan talking yesterday. Yi Bingyu really couldn't figure out Yun Chujio's thoughts. Since she was here to curry favor, why didn't she go in? Was she afraid of being scolded by her great-grandfather? Chapter 2304 Brazenly vying for favor. After a while, the door creaked open and Old Master Yi walked out. Old Master Yi was rather surprised to see them. Yun Chujio said clearly, Great-grandfather, Sister Bingyu and I have come to pay our respects to you. The corners of Yi Bingyi's mouth twitched. Pay our respects. She had never heard of anyone paying their respects as a wooden stake outside. Old Master Yi was also stunned. Since you're here to greet them, why don't you guys go in? Great-grandfather, this is the first time I'm greeting you, so I don't know your rules, for fear of offending you. So, I'll wait outside with Sister Bingyu. Anyway, as long as you understand our filial piety, well, be satisfied. Everyone present was stunned. Wasn't this guy too shameless? How was this a greeting? This was clearly a competition for favor. Moreover, it was a blatant competition for favor. Although Old Master Yi had quite a few juniors and had once had the idea of fawning over him, coming over to deliver tea and pastries or come over to ask questions, this was the first time such a shameless and blatant competition for favor was happening. Therefore, Old Master Yi was also a little stunned for a moment. He subconsciously nodded and took the lead to walk towards the meeting hall. Yi Bingyu was already stunned. She was pulled by Yun Chujio before she followed behind Old Master Yi in a daze. Yun Chujio's lowered eyes were full of light. TSK, did she really think that she was flattering him? Was being personally brought to the meeting hall by Old Master Yi the same as being foolish and waiting for comments? Of course, it would be great if the flattery was successful. At this moment, in the Yi family's meeting hall, Gushir was furious. Yesterday, she was in so much pain, but the doctor said that nothing had happened. She had been tormenting herself for half a night before the pain finally subsided. In her heart, she wished that she could kill Yun Chujio to vent her anger. Second brother, I'm not talking about you as a mother. Look at how your wife and Bingyu are like. I'm already here as an elder, but they're not here yet. And that so-called Mo Fangchao, she's simply a bitch without any family education. Later, when your grandfather proposes to put her under your second son's name, you definitely can't agree to it, do you hear me? Yi Zhiyong said awkwardly, Mother, the Yi family is Fang Keo's maternal family, and she has suffered so much. Before Yi Zhiyong could finish his words, Ji Yishir slapped the table. Shut up. How could I have given birth to such a useless piece of trash like you? You didn't even dare to take in a concubine, and now you're turning your back on others. I'm so angry. My head hurts. Yi Zhiyong immediately panicked when he heard Gushir's cry, and he didn't know what to say. Yi Zhihui's wife, Lu Shi, said while massaging Ji Yishir's temple, Mother, don't be angry. Second brother will definitely listen to you. There's no reason for him to make his mother angry for some unknown little girl. Besides, that Mo Fangchao is really too outrageous. Not only does she look down on you, I heard that she even wants to drive Bingying out of Xiaohua Garden. Nonsense. How can a cheap bastard like her compare to Bingying? If we let her live in Xiaohua Garden, the old woman will be the first to disagree. Gushi said angrily. Lu Shi gave a look to the woman in white at the side. The woman in white immediately said, Grandmother, Xiaohua Garden was Aunt Lan's courtyard to begin with. If she insists, I'll give it to her. Gushi became even angrier when she heard that. Don't even think about it. Unless I die, that bastard will never chase you out of Xiaohua Garden. Lu Shi and Yi Bingying exchanged a look. An outsider bastard still wanted Xiaohua Garden. It was simply wishful thinking. After chapter 2305 was the Yi family. Yi Zhiyong sighed in his heart. Although he was honest, he was not stupid. How could he not see that Gushi did not like him? Even his wife and daughter were implicated. He really could not understand. They were both biological sons, why was he not liked by Gushi? Just then, Minshi walked in with a pale face. One look and it was obvious that her body was weak. Yi Zhiyong could not help but feel pain in his heart. He quickly went forward to support Minshi. Just as Gushi was about to flare up, Yi Yuanliang and Yi Zhihui walked in. Both of their expressions were not very good. Yi Yuanliang was because of the Gushi matter, and Yi Zhihui was because of the 1,000-year-old fire marrow matter. Gushi was afraid that Yi Yuanliang would look for her to settle the score from yesterday, so she did not dare to speak anymore. However, she glared fiercely at Yi Zhiyong. Her meaning was self-evident. She warned him not to agree to the succession. Yi Yuanliang didn't even glance at Gushi. He sat on the right-hand side of the main seat. In the immortal Yuan continent, the right was revered. Therefore, when the Yi family was discussing matters, it was always the men who sat on the right and the women on the left. Naturally, it wasn't good for Lu Shi to massage Ji Yishir anymore. She twisted her waist and sat on the seat next to Gushi. Yi Bingying sat next to Lu Shi. Minshi sat next to Yi Bingying. According to common sense, Minshi should sit next to Lu Shi. After all, Yi Bingying was a junior. However, Yi Bingying relied on her favor and always sat like this. No one said anything. For a moment, the room was completely silent. At this moment, a maid shouted, "The old master is here." Everyone stood up and looked towards the door. They saw the old master walking at the front with two young girls following behind him. One of them was Yi Bingyu while the other young girl walked over slowly. They could not help but have an illusion, Yilan is back. The anger in Gushi's heart rose immediately. She wished that she could strangle Yun Chuzhou to death. However, the old master Yi had accumulated a lot of power. Even if she hated him to death, she did not dare to show it on the surface. Yun Chuzhou followed behind the old master Yi. It was as if she was a fox taking advantage of the tiger's power. This fellow was proud in his heart. It felt good to follow a big backer in. No one dared to give this young lady any face. Yi Bingyu saw that there was nothing wrong with her mother and heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. It had to be said that although this Yun Chujio was a little useless, the bad water was still quite effective. Yi Bingyu gave Yun Chujio a look and then stood beside the Minshi. Yun Chujio stood in the middle and did not move. She was the main character today. Before old Master Yi gave her a status, it was naturally not good for her to take a seat. After old Master Yi took a seat, everyone bowed and greeted him. Old Master Yi waved his hand and everyone took their seats again. Old Master Yi went straight to the point and said, "I think all of you know that little ninth girl is the daughter of Lan girl. Although Lan girl was removed from our Yi family's name, you all know the truth of what happened back then. Little Nine suffered a lot, and she has the blood of our Yi family flowing through her body. It was really too unfair in the Mo family, so I decided to put her under Ziyang's name. Don't use the name that the Mo family gave her. Just use her previous name, Yun Chujio. You can call her Little Nine. As for how to address her, it's still up to Little Lan. You can call her whatever you want. Little Nine, you should greet everyone." Yun Chujio's eyes curved as she first bowed to old Master Yi. "Little Nine greets great-grandfather. I wish great-grandfather eternal happiness and longevity. Little Nine will definitely be filial to you in the future." Chapter 2306 Golden Sky Umbrella, Get Up. Great-grandfather Yi nodded his head in gratification. This little ninth girl was really sweet-talking. Yun Chujio stood up, but she blinked her eyes and did not say anything. Great-grandfather Yi thought to himself that this child looked quite smart, but why did she suddenly become stupid? He could only cough dryly. "Greet your grandfather." Yun Chujio used her hand to tug at the corner of her clothes and said somewhat bashfully, "Great-grandfather, are you not satisfied with me? Is there something I did wrong?" Old Master Yi was stunned. "Where did you say that from?" "Great-grandfather, I heard that the first time I pay my respects to an elder, the elder would reward me with a meeting gift. Why don't you reward me? Do you not like me?" Yun Chujio's eyes were slightly red as she said in an aggrieved manner. Everyone's faces were stiff. This was a blatant request for a gift. Wasn't this guy too shameless? Old Master Yi was stunned. His wife had passed away long ago, so no one reminded him about these trivial matters. Hearing Yun Chujio say this, his old face blushed. He reached out and took out a small umbrella. "I wasn't thoughtful about this matter. I'll give this golden light sky umbrella to you." Everyone in the Yi family was shocked. Yi Zhihui said exasperatedly, "Grandfather. This golden sky umbrella is a high-grade defensive immortal artifact. How can you give it to her?" Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. This uncle of hers was obviously not something. "If you don't give it to me, do you think I'll give it to you?" Shameless. Gushi was obviously very dissatisfied with this, but she didn't dare to say anything. She only stared at Yun Chujio viciously. If her gaze could kill, Yun Chujio would probably be a sieve. Great-grandfather Yi looked at Yi Zhihui unhappily. "Why is it inappropriate for me to give the golden light sky umbrella to little Jiu?" Yi Zhihui felt that he had lost his composure just now. He stood up and said respectfully, "Grandfather, I don't have any other intentions. It's just that the golden light sky umbrella is a high-grade defensive immortal artifact that is too valuable. Little Joe's spiritual power is also too low. This is like a child holding gold in the market. If it brings disaster, it won't be good." Great-grandfather Yi felt that what Yi Zhihui said made sense. He wanted to put the golden light sky umbrella into his storage ring and exchange it for another gift when he heard Yun Chujio's crisp voice, "Thank you, great-grandfather, for your gift. Don't worry, I'll definitely keep it well. I'll only take out this golden light sky umbrella unless my life is in danger. I believe that no outsiders will know about this matter." After all, no one in this room will tell anyone else. Great-grandfather Yi laughed and scolded, "All right. It seems that we can't refuse this. Take it." "Thank you, great-grandfather." Yun Chujio took the golden sky umbrella and kept it into her storage ring. She cursed in her heart. What the fuck, how could the fat in her mouth make it fly away? Although Yi Zhihui's expression was normal, he was extremely dissatisfied with great-grandfather Yi. Back then, he had doted on Yilan. It was not easy for Yilan to die, and now he doted on this little bastard. He was really old and muddle-headed. Yun Chujio did not care what he was thinking in his heart. She greeted Yi Yuanliang with a smile. With old Master Yi taking the lead, Yi Yuanliang naturally would not be empty-handed. He rewarded Yun Chujio with a low-grade defensive immortal artifact. Although Gushi and the others were extremely envious, they did not dare to say anything. Each and every one of them still gritted their teeth and rewarded Yun Chujio with a greeting gift. When it was Yi Bingying's turn, Yi Bingying said with a faint smile, "Little sister Jiu, I know that you've suffered a lot in the past, but our Yi family is a first-class family, so you can't be so narrow-minded. You have to change in the future." Chapter 2307, Proud and unyielding Gushi could not help but feel satisfied in her heart. Bingying was indeed intelligent. In any case, they were sisters of the same generation, so it would not be too much to say anything. It was just the right time to humiliate this cheap bastard, making the old master dislike her. Gushi and the others gloated as they looked at Yun Chujio. Yi Bingyu could not help but worry for Yun Chujio in her heart. It was over, it was over. Although she had obtained something, her great-grandfather would probably not like it if Yi Bingying talked about it. Old Master Yi picked up the teacup and drank the tea. It was obvious that he did not intend to make a sound. He wanted to see how Yun Chujio would deal with it. For a moment, other than the sound of Old Master Yi drinking tea, there was complete silence. Yun Chujio widened her eyes and looked at Yi Bingying in shock, then, tears fell one by one. "Sister Bingying, how can you say this to me? Although I have lived in the Qing Xian continent for many years, I have never had to worry about food and clothing. Moreover, after returning to the Mo family, I helped my grandfather think of many ways to earn money. Usually, the pocket money that my grandfather gave me was tens of millions of high-grade spirit stones. I didn't lack money at all. The reason why I accepted these gifts was because I wanted to obtain the recognition of my relatives. Could it be that you guys didn't like the gifts that I gave you? Could it be that you guys gave them to me out of charity? Could it be that you guys treated me as a beggar? Since that's the case, you guys can take these gifts back. I don't dare to take them anymore." As Yun Chujio spoke, she returned the gifts she received from her storage ring to everyone one by one. She said stubbornly, "Although I, Yun Chujio, don't have high spiritual power, I have my mother's pride. In the future, I won't ask for a single spiritual stone from the Yi family. In the future, I will pay the spiritual stone for everything I eat, wear, and use." Pa! Old Master Yi slammed the table. "Little Jiu, what are you doing?" he scolded. The elders would not refuse. "Quickly put away the gifts. Since little Jiu has already been recorded in the name of the Yi family, she is a member of the Yi family. In the future, if anyone says anything else, the family will punish them." After Old Master Yi said that, he shot a cold glance at Yi Bingying. Yi Bingying's face flushed red and her hands were tightly clenched. She had always been the most favored among the younger generation of the Yi family. Who would have thought that this little bitch would not only covet Xiaohua Garden, but also. He even made great-grandfather dislike her. It was really detestable. Yun Chujio pursed her lips and could only put the gift back into her storage ring. Humph, she did not really intend to give it up in the first place. With great-grandfather Yes' final decision, the matter of the meeting gift was over. Great-grandfather Yi pointed at the seat next to Yi Bingyu and said, "Little Jiu, you can sit next to Bingyu from now on." Yun Chujiu nodded obediently and then glanced at old Master Yi. She wanted to say something but hesitated. In short, it was as if she wanted to say something, but if you don't want me to say it, then I won't say it. Little Jiu, do you still have something to say? Old Master Yi frowned and thought to himself, this little Jiu has too many things to say. So what? He was a little unhappy in his heart. Yun Chujiu bit her lips and stomped her foot. Great-grandfather, I originally didn't want to say it, but since you've asked, I'll have to say it even at the risk of offending someone. Just now, Sister Bingying said that our Yi family is a first-class family and is second to none in the Eastern continent. However, since it's a big family, it should have the rules of a big family. Otherwise, if outsiders see it, they'll definitely laugh at our Yi family for not understanding the seniority of elders and having no rules. Gusher had already endured for half a day. Now, she really couldn't endure it anymore. She angrily said, your father's family is nothing more than a distant branch of a third-class family. He actually said that our Yi family doesn't have rules. What a joke. Chapter 2308, Grounded for 2 months. Yun Chujiu looked at Gusher aggrievely. Grandmother Gu, what do you mean by your Yi family? Am I not a member of the Yi family? My father's family's status is low. Do I not even have the right to make suggestions? Yi Yuanliang was already filled with anger. He glared fiercely at Gusher. Shut up. Little ninth girl, just say it. Gusher endured it and did not say anything. She knew that old Master Yi did not rub the sand in his eyes. If she made a scene, old Master Yi would not let her off. Yun Chujiu then continued, this seat is definitely arranged according to seniority. Then why is Sister Bingying sitting at the head of second aunt? Could it be that Sister Bingying is even more honorable than second aunt? Once Yun Chujiu's words came out, everyone's gaze focused on Yi Bingying. That's right, why would a junior like her sit at the head of the Minshi? Lu Shi was shocked. She naturally knew that Yi Bingying sitting like this was against the rules. However, old Master Yes' wife had passed away long ago, and the inner residence was headed by Gusher. Thus, she was happy that her daughter was suppressing the Minshi. She did not expect that she would be pointed out by this little bitch today. What should she do? Yi Bingying felt as if she was sitting on pins and needles at this moment. Her face flushed red. Just now, she was still lecturing Yun Chujiu for having shallow eyelids and losing the face of the Yi family. But now, she was slapped in the face in the open. Gusher snorted coldly. You can't blame Bingyu for this. The second daughter-in-law's health isn't good, so she rarely goes to greet me. Therefore, Bingying is used to sitting next to the eldest daughter-in-law. She can just change it in the future. Yi Bingyu was about to explode from anger. This old woman was simply lying through her teeth. Rarely went to greet her. When did her mother not go and set rules? Yi Bingyu was about to speak when Minshi held her hand and motioned for her not to say anything. Yi Bingyu could only remain silent in anger. Although old Master Yi did not understand the matters of the inner residence, he was well aware of some things. He sighed. Gusher, your mother-in-law passed away in the early years. Thus, you've been in charge of the Yi family for the past few years. It's hard work even if you haven't contributed much. However, in recent years, you have become more and more outrageous. There are some things that I, as a father-in-law, cannot say out loud. You should go back and reflect on it. Leave the matters of the inner residence to Lu Shi for the next 2 months. Gusher could not believe her ears. Old Master Yi had actually grounded her for 2 months. She stood up and asked sharply, Old Master, daughter-in-law thinks that she is hardworking and thrifty. What did she do wrong? Even if Bingying's seat is a little inappropriate, it is not to the extent of grounding daughter-in-law for 2 months, right? Old Master Yi looked at her coldly. Sure, as long as I'm not dead, this family is still under my control. If you want to say more, leave Zhonglu to Lu Shi in the future. A trace of joy appeared at the corner of Lu Shi's eyes. She wished that Shi and Old Master Yi would start arguing. That way, she would be able to obtain the authority of the housekeeper. Unfortunately, although Shi was domineering and vicious, she still had a brain. When she heard Old Master Yi's words, she knew that Old Master Yi had heard what she said yesterday. Thus, she sat down embarrassedly and did not say anything. Old Master Yi swept a glance at Yi Bingying again. Yi Bingying's face flushed red. She swapped seats with Min Shi and hated Yun Chuzhou to death in her heart. The atmosphere in the room was very oppressive for a moment. Only the culprit, a certain Zhou, was rolling her eyes. There was still one big thing that she had not done yet, and that was Xiaohua Garden. Xiaohua Garden was her mother's courtyard. No matter what, she had to take it back. She would not be able to see her mother anymore. At least she could still remember her mother. Chapter 2309 I Want to Live in Xiaohua Garden. According to Min Shi, Xiaohua Garden was originally just an ordinary courtyard. It was just a little bigger than the other courtyards. After Yilan lived in it, she carefully designed it. Every blade of grass and every tree inside was planted by her mother. Originally, the old master had said that even if Yilan got married in the future, Xiaohua Garden would always be kept for Yilan. No one was allowed to live in it. Later, Shi forced Yi Bingying to live there. The old master probably thought that Yilan was dead anyway, and there were no descendants, so he did not say anything more. Now that she was back, the things that belonged to her mother naturally had to be taken out. It was time for the dove that occupied the magpie's nest to get lost. Yun Chuzhou knew that she had already caused 2 incidents in a row. If she brought up the Xiaohua Garden incident again, the old Master Yi would definitely not like it. Therefore, this matter could not be brought up by her. She could only act according to the circumstances. Great-grandfather Yi looked at Yi Zhihui. Zhihui, how's the investigation of the 1,000-year-old fire marrow coming along? Yi Zhihui had a dejected look on his face. Grandfather, I've checked it. There's no trace at all. It was definitely not stolen. The 1,000-year-old fire marrow must have gained sentience and burrowed underground to escape. Sigh. If it gained sentience, it would be even more precious. What a pity. This is all a fortuitous encounter. Since she ran away, so be it. Bingying's aptitude was not bad. Even if she did not have the 1,000-year fire marrow, she would still be able to enter the Primordial Chaos Sect's outer sect. Next year will be the day when the Primordial Chaos Sect enrolls students. During this period of time, cultivate properly and don't waste it, Old Master Yi said in a deep voice. Yi Bingying hurriedly stood up and agreed. The uneasiness from before was swept away. That's right, she was a genius with excellent aptitude. Not to mention the Yi family, even other first-class families were able to enter the outer sect of the Origin Chaotic Sect. It was as rare as a phoenix feather or a Qilin's horn. Yun Chuzhou, that little bitch, could not compare to her at all. Yun Chuzhia's heart was moved. If she could really enter the Origin Chaotic Sect, it would be much more interesting than being in the Xingtian Academy. Originally, entering the Xingtian Academy was to prevent the Yi family from taking revenge. Now that she had entered the Yi family, the Xingtian Academy was somewhat useless. Forget it. Anyway, there was still a year's time. She would take it one step at a time. The most important thing now was to get Xiaohua Garden back. From the looks of it, Yi Bingying was still quite favored. It definitely wouldn't work if she wanted it directly. She had to think of a way to save the country. Yun Chuzhou was in a difficult position as to how to bring up the matter of the residence when the godlike assistant, Min Shi, made a move. Grandfather, since little Jiu is registered under the name of our second branch, as an aunt, I have to consider everything. Yesterday, little Jiu stayed at Binjia's place for an entire night. What do you think of little Jiu's residence? Min Shi said gently. Yun Chuzhou felt that this Min Shi was really on the right track. She was indeed worthy of being a comrade who had acted together with her. Old Master Yi thought for a moment. Lu Shi, help little Jiu pick a house. Compare the treatment to Bingying and Bingyu. Lu Shi agreed and felt proud in her heart. Little bitch, you actually dared to bully Bingying. Watch how he'll teach you a lesson. Great-grandfather, I usually stay in the academy. There's no need to prepare a house and maids for me alone. It's a waste. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Nonsense. Even if I stay for a day, the Yi family will still have your courtyard. Great-grandfather Yi glared at her. Yun Chuzhou sighed. Great-grandfather, to be honest, I actually want to live in Xiaohua Garden. Great-grandfather Yi frowned. This little 9 girl was really insatiable. Why was she so fixated on Xiaohua Garden? She really had no sense of propriety. Gushi and the others could not help but sneer in their hearts. This little bitch really took herself seriously. Could it be that she thought old Master Yi would kick Bingying out and let her live in Xiaohua Garden? It was simply wishful thinking. Chapter 23 10 Ownership of Xiaohua Garden. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou continued, however, it would be unreasonable to chase Sister Bingying out because of me. Even though Xiaohua Garden was designed by my mother, even though every blade of grass and tree was planted by my mother, and even though you once said that Xiaohua Garden would always be kept for my mother, the rules are dead, and people are alive, it's a waste to leave such a large courtyard empty. Old Master Ye's face was a little uncomfortable. He did say that Xiaohua Garden would always be kept for Yilan, and that even if Yilan got married, no one else would be allowed to live in it. However, after Yilan's accident and so many years had passed, Yi Bingying urged Gushi to let her live in it, so he did not say anything. However, now that Lan's daughter had returned, Xiaohua Garden should have let her live in it. It was just that it was a little awkward to kick Bingying out just like that. At this moment, Yun Chuzhou continued, Great-grandfather, I'm a reasonable person. Although Sister Bingying forcefully took over my mother's courtyard, I don't blame her. If she really likes Xiaohua Garden, it'll stay in the main house in the future and leave a side room for her. Anyway, I spend most of my time in Xingtian Academy, so I won't hold anything back. Great-grandfather, I don't have to argue with her. I haven't seen my mother before, so I want to see where my mother used to live. It can be considered, it can also be considered to be a reminder of her. Yun Chuzhou's tone became lower and lower, and in the end, there was already a hint of crying. Hearing Yun Chuzhou say this, old Master Yi could not help but feel a little down, and the unhappiness in his heart also vanished into thin air. This child was a filial child, and since the land girl knew about it, it was time to console her. Yi Yuanliang had always felt guilty towards Yilan, but now hearing Yun Chuzhou say this, he said to old Master Yi, Father, Xiaohua Garden was originally Lan's courtyard. Now that little Jiu is back, she should be staying in Xiaohua Garden. Let Bingying choose another courtyard. Yi Bingying almost screamed. Grandfather was too biased. Although Xiaohua Garden was originally Aunt Lan's courtyard, she was married after all. That little bastard's surname was not Yi. She, Yi Bingying, was the proper eldest daughter of the Yi family. Yi Bingying bit her lips tightly and looked at old Master Yi. She did not believe that old Master Yi would be so biased. After all, the Yi family's reputation still depended on her. Old Master Yi frowned and felt some regret in his heart. It would have been better if he had not mentioned Xiaohua Garden back then. But now, he had a great-granddaughter and a great-granddaughter. Who was going to live there? Yi Bingying saw that old Master Yi did not speak, and her heart was a little flustered. She stood up and said, "Great-grandfather, I've been living in the main house of Xiaohua Garden all these years. I'm already used to cultivating there. It looks like next year will be the time for the Primordial Chaos sect to recruit disciples. If I suddenly change to another courtyard, it will definitely delay my cultivation." Yi Bingying's meaning was very clear. If she changed the room and changed the courtyard, it would affect her cultivation. Who knows, she might not be able to enter the Primordial Chaos sect. Hearing Yi Bingying's words, Yi Yuanliang, who was originally firm in his attitude, revealed a hesitant look. Entering the Primordial Chaos sect was a big matter. If it was really delayed because of changing courtyards, then it would really be a small loss. A smug look flashed across Yi Bingying's eyes. "Bitch, you still want to fight with me? You're simply overestimating yourself. Do you think you're the Elon from back then? You are just a waste." Chapter 23:11 Xiaohua Garden belonged to little Jiu. Old Master Yi frowned and looked at Yun Chujiu. The meaning in his eyes was very clear. He hoped that she could put the big picture first and not compete with Yi Bingying for Xiaohua Garden for the time being. Yi Bingyu could not help but sigh in her heart. Although this Yun Chujiu was full of bad ideas, Yi Bingying was going to enter the outer sect of the Primordial Chaos sect. There was an 80% chance that Yun Chujiu would not have a chance. Just when everyone thought that Yun Chujiu would know the difficulty and retreat, Yun Chujiu said to Yi Bingying with a smile, "Sister Bingying, it's not right for you to be like this. How can a cultivator be easily disturbed by the outside world? If you can't even withstand this little bit of interference, how are you going to pass the Primordial Chaos Sect's test? Originally, I wanted to let you stay in a side room in Xiaohua Garden. Now that I see you, you might as well move to another courtyard. Otherwise, won't you have no way to cultivate when you arrive at the Primordial Chaos sect? The heavens really blessed me to return to the Yi family. Otherwise, Sister Bingying, your efforts will definitely go down the drain. You'd better quickly adjust your attitude. Otherwise, this Primordial Sect's test will be difficult to handle." Yi Bingying never dreamed that Yun Chujiu would say such a heresy. For a moment, she was actually speechless. Old Master Yi was stunned, but he was shrewd and experienced. He immediately understood that the last Bingying should have said an excuse just now, but this little ninth girl was too shrewd. She simply made a mistake and made her speechless. What little ninth lass said makes sense. "Bingying, you're still too impetuous. I've said before that Xiaohua Garden is the Lan lass blood and sweat. Even if she gets married, you have to keep it for her. Forget about the past. Bingying, you move out immediately. From now on, Xiaohua Garden is little ninth lass. Lu Shi, arrange another courtyard for Bingying and arrange it properly. Don't be afraid of spending money." The reason Old Master Yi added the last sentence was to appease Yi Bingying. Unfortunately, Yi Bingying did not appreciate it at all. Her eyes were red as she ran out with her hand covering her mouth. Great-grandfather Yi frowned. Although Bingying's aptitude was not bad, it was too smooth. She was actually thrown into disarray by such a small setback. It was truly too embarrassing to use. Not to mention compared to that last land from back then, even she could not compare to this little Jiu. It was really disappointing. Although Lu Shi resented Old Master Yi for being biased, she added, "Old Master, Bingying recently encountered a bottleneck in her cultivation, so she's unstable. Please don't blame her for being rude." Old Master Yi waved his hand. "All of you can leave. Yuanliang, stay." Everyone bowed and took their leave. Only Yi Yuanliang stayed. "What do you think about today's matter?" Old Master Yi took a sip of tea and asked Yi Yuanliang. Little ninth girl has a sharp tongue and is quite intelligent. She is even smarter than Lon girl, but her spiritual power is a little lower. Moreover, she has a heavenly lightning spiritual root. Although she hasn't been killed by Tian Dao, it's hard to say what will happen in the future. So even if she has some tricks, father, please bear with her. Although Yi Yuanliang wasn't as shrewd as the old master, he was still brought up by a first-class family, so he was still able to see things clearly. You're right. Little Ninth is much more tactful than Little Lan back then. She can bend and stretch. It's probably because of her environment. Sigh, I'm really a little disappointed in Bingying. If it weren't for Little Ninth causing such a ruckus, I wouldn't have discovered that her personality is so impetuous. If she doesn't change, even if she enters the outer sect of the primordial chaos sect, she'll still suffer sooner or later. She might even implicate our Yi family, old Master Yi said rather disappointedly. Chapter 23:12. Youth is fleeting, father, what you said makes sense. Then next, Yi Yuanliang looked at old Master Yi. Let the little ninth girl sharpen the ice shadow girl's character. If she grinds it well, then it's a treasured sword unsheathed. If she grinds it badly, then it's a useless sword. Even if it's useless, it's still better than going to the primordial sect and implicating our Yi family in the future. Old Master Yi was the head of the Yi family, naturally, he was decisive in killing. Then what are your plans for the little ninth girl? Well, see first. If it's just some petty tricks, then just like Bingyu, well, find a suitable family to marry in the future. If it's a good sword, it'll be unsheathed sooner or later, old Master Yi said in a deep voice. Yi Yuanliang heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that old Master Yi had other plans for bringing Yun Chuzhou back, but now that it seemed like it wasn't, he was finally relieved. Yi Bingying returned to Xiaohua Garden and threw a tantrum. At this moment, Lu Shi walked in through the curtain. Bingying, what are you doing? There are plenty of ways to deal with that little bitch. Why are you so angry? Mother. I've never been treated like this. Not only did she make me lose face, she even chased me out of Xiaohua Garden. I wish I could kill her, Yi Bingying said viciously. Silly girl, if you really kill her, both your great-grandfather and grandfather will be unhappy. Even if you enter the primordial chaos sect, don't you still have to rely on the Yi family for your cultivation resources? Offending them won't do you any good. Lu Shi pointed at Yi Bingying's forehead with her finger. What are you doing? She said reproachfully. Mother, then let that little slut be so arrogant. I really can't take this lying down. Lu Shi smiled coldly. If you want to harm someone, you don't necessarily have to kill her. That's the best way. Living a life worse than death is the worst. Besides, your grandmother hates that little slut to death, so she will naturally make a move. Let's just wait and watch the show. No. Mother. Grandmother is grounded for 2 months. I can't take it anymore. If I don't teach that slut a lesson, I won't be able to calm down and cultivate. Mother, I know that you have the most ideas. Help me teach that bastard a lesson. Lu Shi was taken aback. She did not expect that bastard to become Bingying's inner demon. Indeed, Bingying had always been successful. She had never suffered such a huge loss. If the inner demon was not removed, there would definitely be shackles in her cultivation. It seemed like she had to think of a way to teach that bastard a lesson. Bingying, don't bother about this matter. Just focus on your cultivation and leave it to mother to handle. Lu Shi's eyes flickered with a cold light as she said to Yi Bingying. Yi Bingying nodded. She knew that her mother was a powerful person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have made her grandmother displeased with Min Shi. Lu Shi had just left when Yun Chuzhou dragged Yi Bingyu over. This person was narrow-minded. She was afraid that Yi Bingying would destroy Xiaohua Garden's things when she moved. This was her mother's hard work. She had to watch it with her own eyes before she could be at ease. Yi Bingying wished that she could kill her. Naturally, she would not talk to her. She only instructed her maid to start packing. Yun Chuzhou did not have the time to bother with Yi Bingying. She looked carefully at Xiaohua Garden and thought that it was indeed different from other courtyards. Not only was the area bigger, but the decorations were also quite exquisite. It could be seen that Yi Lan had put in a lot of effort in the past. What Yun Chuzhou liked the most was that there was actually a spirit peach forest in the southeast corner of the courtyard. It was the season when the flowers bloomed. The breeze blew over the petals and fell down. It really matched the name of Xiaohua Garden. Youth was fleeting. In such a short moment, Yun Chuzhou did not like the name of Xiaohua Garden. This name was too unlucky. No wonder her mother had already lost her virginity. No matter what, she had to change the name. The little black bird in the spiritual beast bag rolled its eyes. Xiao Hanio did not like other people's names. Her name might not be that weird. Chapter 23:13, Naming Trash Ding. Naming Trash. A certain Jiu officially went online. This courtyard is filled with spirit peach trees. Why don't we call it a peach garden? No, why did she think of the three sworn brothers of the peach garden? Why don't we call it a spirit fruit garden? It seemed a little vulgar and didn't seem like a place where people lived. Why don't we call it Little Jiu Garden? No, it didn't sound good. A certain Jiu still couldn't think of a name that she was satisfied with even after Yi Bingying had finished packing up her things. In the end, she gritted her teeth and decided not to change her name for the time being. She would only change her name after she thought of a good one. Yi Bingying saw Yun Chuzhou squatting beside the peach forest and mumbling to herself. Her eyes revealed a vicious glint. Back then, the mother of this little bitch had always been against Aunt Wan. A daughter of a concubine was even more pampered than a daughter of the first wife. Now, this little bitch probably had the same idea as well. If she wanted to be more glorious than the real daughter of the first wife of the Yi family, well see. Yi Bingyu saw Yi Bingying's gaze and could not help but feel her heart tremble. This cousin of hers usually looked high and mighty, but in reality, she was incomparably vicious. She probably hated Yun Chuzhou. Yi Bingyu used the tip of her foot to touch Yun Chuzhou. Little Jiu, Sister Bingying is leaving. Yun Chuzhou stood up and said with a smile, Sister Bingying, let's leave after lunch. Yi Bingying said coldly, Yun Chuzhou, don't be complacent. Well see. After Yi Bingying said that, she left with her maid. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. Forget it if you don't want to eat. Looking at her resentful face affects your appetite. Yi Bingyu burst into laughter. Little Jiu, your mouth is really mean, but your description is really apartment. However, Yi Bingyu has always been favored in the Yi family. This time, she suffered a big setback. She will definitely not let this matter rest. You better be careful in the future. After the two of them had lunch, Min Shi arrived with a maid. Little Jiu, I heard from Bingyu that you like to eat snacks. I asked the canteen to make some for you to bring back to the academy to eat, Min Shi said gently. Yun Chuzhou thanked her with a smile and kept the pastries into her storage ring. After Min Shi asked the maids to leave, she lowered her voice and said, Little Jiu, since you have already been recorded under me in your second uncle's name, we will be a family in the future. I still have to remind you of some things. Don't think that I'm meddling. Yun Chuzhou's expression turned serious. Second aunt, my mother left early and am still young. Please give me some advice. Min Shi sighed in her heart. Although this little Jiu was from a lower-class continent, she was truly a clever girl. She was able to see through everything with just a little bit of effort. She was much better than her daughter, who was able to catch fire with just a little bit of effort. Little Jiu, don't think that just because you have received the attention of the old master and your grandfather, you can truly be like a fish in water in the Yi family. After all, the old master and your grandfather are men. It's not good for them to always interfere in the matters of the inner residence. You are now a member of the Yi family. In the future, the Yi family will naturally be in charge of your marriage. If your mother-in-law and sister-in-law are dissatisfied with you, I'm afraid that they will definitely trip you up in the future. Moreover, your mother's family is the support of a woman. In the future, the Yi family will definitely be led by your first uncle. This is also the reason why I have been enduring them for so many years. Although these words from Min Shi had her own little thoughts, they also carried some sincerity. Yun Chuzhou smiled. Second aunt, I understand what you're saying. However, even if I don't cause any trouble and I just accept it, I'm afraid that Gushi won't be able to tolerate me. Although no one told me the details of the past, I'm afraid that my mother has made her lose face many times. Thus, I'm a thorn in her side. As for Yi Bingying, she was the one who occupied my mother's courtyard. In the morning, she even wanted to make fun of me. I'm a person. I won't offend others unless they offend me. If they offend me, I'm never afraid of trouble. Chapter 23:14, Dead End. When Min Shi heard Yun Chuzhou say this, she sighed. You're right. It's just that if you put up with it a little, perhaps they're just torturing you and won't have the intention to kill you. I'm afraid they already have the intention to kill you now. Second aunt, there are some things that can't be put up with. You've put up with it for so many years. What's the result? Didn't Gushi still bully you for no reason? If you don't have the right to speak, I'm afraid that in the future, little sister Binji's marriage will still be in their hands. Second aunt, are you willing? Min Shi's expression suddenly changed. Old master and father-in-law won't allow them to do whatever they want. Yun Chuzhou sneered. Second aunt, you're a smart person. Just like you told me just now, great-grandfather and the others are men. They won't consider everything thoroughly. It was too easy for Ge Shi to use a little trick. If it was already done, great-grandfather wouldn't say anything even if he knew that Sister Bingyu was married to a man. He would do it for the benefit of the Yi family. The mother and daughter could only swallow their anger. If Sister Binji's marriage could be exchanged for a certain amount of benefits and help Yi Bingying gain a better foothold in the primordial chaos sect, who do you think great-grandfather would help? Min Shi's face was deathly pale. Although she had always lied to herself, as long as she endured Gushi's torture, she would not make things difficult for Bingyu. However, Yun Chuzhou's words had punctured her delusion. She knew that what Yun Chuzhou said was true. Back then, Yilan was so favored. In the end, didn't he still agree to the Fan family's marriage without her consent? If Yi Binji's marriage could really help Yi Bingying gain a foothold in the primordial chaos sect, old master Yi would definitely abandon Yi Bingyu. Yi Bingyu saw that the Min Shi's face was deathly pale and glared at Yun Chuzhou. Don't scare my mother. I'm not dead. When the time comes, I won't agree. Don't tell me you're really going to kidnap me. Yun Chuzhou was angry and happy. This Yi Bingyu was really naive. In a sense, Yun Chuzhou really envied her. The reason why she was so heartless was because the Min Shi protected her too well. Sister Bingyu, when the time comes, I won't kidnap you, but I will make second uncle divorce second aunt to blackmail you. Moreover, maybe Gushi will think of some sinister methods to force you to submit, such as cooking cooked rice and the like. Although Yi Bingyu still said that she wouldn't, she already believed it in her heart. If Gushi really used the Min Shi to blackmail her, she would definitely obediently get married. For a moment, the mother and daughter of the Min Shi fell into a state of panic. Yun Chuzhou sipped her tea and didn't speak. After a long while, the Min Shi gritted her teeth. Little Jiu, tell second aunt. Do you have a way to solve this predicament? Yun Chuzhou put down her teacup. She said with a smile, second aunt, this is indeed a dead end. The eldest son has a legitimate son. Furthermore, cousin Wen Hong can be considered a qualified heir. Therefore, in the future, the Yi family will most likely be the eldest son. Since the eldest son is in charge, then eldest aunt and Yi Bingying will naturally be full of confidence. They won't show mercy when they exchange our second son for benefits. Yi Bingyu was anxious. Aren't you talking nonsense? Mother, she only knows how to talk. If you can't think of a way, what can she do? Min Shi waved her hand. Little Jiu, second aunt knows that you're smart. Since you pointed it out, there must be a way to solve it. As long as you help second aunt solve this dead end, second aunt will treat you as her own child in the future. Chapter 23:15 was not reliable. Yun Chuzhou knew that the Min Shi was planning to surrender, but this was far from enough. Only common interests were the most stable alliance. Second aunt, there is only one way to break this deadlock. That is to make Sister Binjia's value greater than Yi Bingying's. This way, great-grandfather and the others will naturally not allow Gushi to do whatever she wants. Yi Binjia's eyes were originally wide open as she listened. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, she was instantly discouraged. This is the same as not saying anything. I still have self-awareness. My aptitude is far inferior to Yi Bingying's. How can I be better than her? Not to mention the outer sect of the primordial chaos sect, I can't even pass for a handyman. As long as you listen to me, I can guarantee that you can pass for the primordial chaos sect. Although I can't guarantee that you'll be an inner sect disciple, the outer sect will still have no problems, Yun Chuzhou said shamelessly. This fellow had always had this kind of mysterious confidence. No matter what, forming an alliance first was more important. Otherwise, she would be too easily schemed against by the Yi family. Min Shi was a shrewd person. With this spy, she could save a lot of trouble. Yi Bingyu simply scoffed. Forget it. You're already boasting to the heavens. What kind of place do you think the primordial chaos sect is? Not to mention us, even the top few on the Academy's ranking list would be lucky to be able to get into the outer sect. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. In any case, I feel that other than this method, there is no other way to break the deadlock. Even if second aunt gave birth to a younger cousin for me, she would still not be able to beat Big Fang. Min Shi's face turned red. She thought to herself that this little Jiu was really outspoken. What she said was not too reliable. Although Binjia's aptitude was not bad, she could not be compared to Yi Bingying. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens if she wanted to be admitted into the primordial chaos sect. Yun Chuzhou saw that Min Shi lowered her head and did not speak. She decided to add fuel to the fire. Second aunt, I know that you think that I'm just spouting nonsense. This primordial chaos sect's entrance test doesn't have a spiritual power level, right? I'm only at the first level of the Ling Xian realm, but didn't I also get into Xingtian Academy? This entrance test relies on my brain. Besides, it doesn't matter if I go and try. In any case, next year will be the time for the primordial chaos sect's entrance test. You can take your time to think about it. There's no rush. Min Shi thought about it and it made sense. Anyway, there was still a year's time. Perhaps she could find another good method during this period. Fortunately, in the immortal Yuan East continent, women were married at a relatively late age. For the time being, Gushi would not have any ideas about Binjia's marriage. The three of them chatted for a while more before Min Shi and Yi Bingyu left. Although Lu Shi hated Yun Chuzhou to the core, she still managed to keep up appearances. Not only did she send over brand new daily necessities, but she also sent 4 maids and 2 old ladies to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou was not stupid. She knew that these people must be Lu Shi's people. However, she was going back to the academy the next day, so she was too lazy to waste time with them. Yun Chuzhou looked at every room. Even the side rooms were exquisitely designed. It could be seen that Yilan had put in a lot of effort in the past. Yun Chuzhou lay on the bed. It was the first time she felt so close to her mother. Although her mother had lived in the Mo family's old mansion, for some reason, she felt that this place was more intimate. Perhaps it was because Yilan had lived here for a longer time. In the afternoon, Yi Bingyu accompanied Yun Chuzhou around Yi City. Yun Chuzhou bought some food and small items to give to Jin Ji and Shui Wuji after she went back. At night, Yun Chuzhou was on high alert. She deliberately let Xiao He stay up at night, afraid that the maids and women would do something bad. However, she did not expect that the night was peaceful and nothing happened. Chapter 23:16 Little Jiu was burned to ashes early the next morning. Yun Chuzhou, Yi Bingyu, and Yi Wenhong bid farewell to the Yi family. Housekeeper Fu escorted them back to Tianluo City. Yun Chuzhou felt uneasy. She felt that Gu Shi and Lu Shi should not be so quiet. What exactly were they planning? At this moment, in the room of Lu Shi, the eldest son of the Yi family, Yi Bingying was complaining. Mother, didn't you say that you wanted to help me vent my anger? That little bitch has already left, how can I vent my anger? You lied to me. Silly girl, if we make a move in the Yi family, will we be able to hide it from your great-grandfather? When that time comes, it won't be good if we are found out, Lu Shi said with a reproachful tone. Mother, will we let that little bitch off so easily? Yi Bingying gnashed her teeth and asked. HMPH, she caused you to be unable to concentrate on your cultivation, so naturally, she won't let her off so easily. Don't worry, Mother has already made arrangements. Very soon, you'll be able to receive news of her death, Lu Shi said viciously, it was just a little bitch. If she was killed, then so be it. It was likely that old Master Yi wouldn't pursue the matter to the end. A trace of pleasant surprise flashed past Yi Bingying's eyes. Mother, what do you plan to do? Mother has arranged for manpower in Xingtian Academy. It's extremely easy for a student to have an accident, and it's impossible for them to trace it back to us. A little bastard still wants to compete with my Bingying for the favor. He's simply courting death. No one had expected that 6 hours later, Yi Bingyu and the others would return and bring back a piece of shocking news. Yun Chuzhou was dead. Great-grandfather, Little Jiu, was burned to ashes. Yi Bingyi's eyes were red and swollen. Only now did she realize that she did not hate Yun Chuzhou that much. Otherwise, why would she be so sad? What happened? Great-grandfather Yes' face was livid. Why was he still alive and kicking in the morning, but now he had turned into ashes? Yi Bingyu cried as she spoke. Only then did everyone know what had happened. In the morning, after the flying spiritual device took off, Yi Wenhong cultivated and meditated at the side. Yun Chuzhou and Yi Bingyu drank tea and chatted. The atmosphere was much more cordial compared to when they first arrived. Housekeeper Fu was afraid that Yun Chuzhou would come up with some evil plan to torment him, so he hid far away in the cockpit. After about 2 hours, Yun Chuzhou felt her right palm begin to heat up. She could not help but feel a little nervous. What was this little flame trying to do again? There were too many people and too many eyes. Wouldn't she be exposed? Just as Yun Chuzhou was thinking about it, she felt a strong desire in her mind. Get out! Get out! Get out quickly! Although no one said anything, Yun Chuzhou could feel that this was the will of the little flame. Yun Chuzhou stretched her neck and looked through the observation window. There was an undulating mountain range below. Why did this damn little flame have to go out? Could it be that there was also a 1,000-year-old fire marrow down there? Yun Chujio remembered the promise she had made to the little flame. She rolled her eyes and walked to the cockpit. She said to Housekeeper Fu, I must have eaten something bad. Can you land for a while? It's convenient for me. Yun Chujio said it very calmly, which made Housekeeper Fu blush. He stammered, yes. But, miss, I'm afraid it's not easy to land without a flat place down here. It's okay. I'll ride my sword and go down. You guys slow down. I'll catch up with you later. Yun Chujio had this idea in mind. If she didn't leave them alone, how could the little flame do anything bad? Housekeeper Fu could only nod in agreement and open the cabin door of the flying spirit tool. Soon, something unexpected happened. Chapter 23 17 Flames fighting in a group. After Housekeeper Fu opened the cabin door, Yun Chujio summoned a large chopping board and flew down from it. Housekeeper Fu and the others were all dumbfounded. Others were riding swords, but this person was actually riding a large chopping board. He was really a foodie. Just as everyone was complaining, they suddenly discovered that a mountain peak below was actually spewing out thick flames. It was actually a volcano that had erupted. The worst part was that they discovered that Yun Chujio had fallen head first and was instantly engulfed by the flames. Before everyone could react, that mountain had strangely sealed itself again. Other than the lava on the ground and the trees that had already turned into nothingness, it was as if everything that had happened just now was just an illusion. Housekeeper Fu sat down on the ground. It was over, Cousin Miss was dead for sure. Such a fierce flame, and it was the earth core fire that erupted from underground. Unless it was a mighty figure of the primordial chaos sect, he was dead for sure. Moreover, the mountain peak had already been sealed off. There was no chance of survival at all. Although they knew that the hope was slim, they still waited for another hour. They even circled around a few times to check, but they still found nothing. They could only return to the Yi residence. After such a big incident, Yi Bingyu and Yi Wenhong had no choice but to follow them back. They could just ask for leave from the academy. When Yi Yuanliang heard Housekeeper Fu's words, he immediately sat down on the chair. If he had known earlier, he would have refused to acknowledge little Jiu. But now, not even a corpse was left behind. Yi Bingying sneered in her heart. Damn it! If he was burned by the earth core fire, then his soul and spirit would be destroyed. He would not even be able to reincarnate. This was karma. Sigh. Let's prepare the funeral for little Jiu. Old Master Yi let out a long sigh. This was fate. If she did not continue shouting, how could such a thing happen? She could only blame her bad luck. Lu Shi agreed. She thought to herself that she would definitely make that bastard's funeral a glorious one and let her and her dead mother reunite in the underground. Achoo! Achoo! Fuck, who's scolding me? Little flame, put in more effort. I'll support you spiritually. A certain Jiu was happily watching the flames fighting in a group in the belly of the mountain. The little flame was fighting 1 against 10 and was surrounded by 10 flames. The level of those 10 flames was obviously much lower than the little flame. Not only were their colors not as beautiful as the little flame, but their mobility was also much lower. However, there were many of them, so the small flame would not be able to win for a while. Small flame, if you can't win, you'll be letting me down. If I didn't have the fire-repelling pearl, I would have been burnt to ashes. What are you waiting for? Charge! Charge! Your strength has increased, so you can help me crush the scum. Yun Chujio shouted at the side to cheer for her son. Perhaps it was because of Yun Chujio's urging, the small flames suddenly launched an attack and rushed towards a cluster of flames. Yun Chujio opened her eyes wide in curiosity. She saw that the small flame had wrapped around the cluster of flames. Naturally, the cluster of flames was unwilling to be swallowed and kept struggling. The other flames also pounced towards the small flame. Yun Chujio felt that she had to do something. Otherwise, the small flame might not be able to hold on. Yun Chujio raised her hand, and several piglets of spiritual power pounced on the flames. Although they were not of much use, they could at least hold them back and buy some time for the small flames. With Yun Chujio's cooperation, the small flames spent more than 20 hours before they finally swallowed all 10 clusters of flames. Then, they lazily drilled into Yun Chujio's right palm. As the 10 clusters of flames disappeared, the flames in the belly of the mountain were all extinguished. The rocks that had been roasted until they were red emitted a faint light, so the visibility in the belly of the mountain was not bad. Damn it! You don't care whether you eat or bury them. How are you going to get out now? Yun Chujio complained. Chapter 23 18 Fire-Eating Xiao. Although Xiao He could dig holes, the inside of the mountain was burning hot. If Xiao He were to be released, it would be burned into charcoal. In a few days, the temperature in the mountain would not drop. How could they get out? Yun Chujio wanted to use the sudden rupture talisman, but she was worried that if she did not control it well, she would be the unlucky person who buried herself alive. Yun Chujio could only take out a rolling pin and knock around, wanting to see where it was weaker. Then, she used a small needle of spiritual power to try. After all, the accuracy of the small needle of spiritual power was higher. When Yun Chujio was knocking around, she strangely discovered that the sound of knocking could also be heard from the other side of the rock wall. Could it be that there was still a living creature on the other side of the rock wall? Yun Chujio did not think that this was good news. She was basically at the bottom of the Immortal Essence East continent. If she were to encounter a cultivator with high spiritual power or a high-level demon beast, it would be simply courting death. Yun Chujio did not dare to knock anymore. She did not expect that the knocking sounds outside were becoming more and more frequent. There was even the sound of rocks falling. It seemed to be the sound of something's claws scratching the rocks. Yun Chujio's head buzzed. It must be a demon beast. And it was a high-level fire-type demon beast. She wanted to run, but where could it run to in the mountain? The creature gritted its teeth and hid behind a protruding rock. It secretly put on a gas mask. Fuck, when that thing showed its head, it would greet it with chili flour and then blow it to death with a small needle of spiritual energy. Not long after, a basin-sized hole appeared in the rock wall. A demon beast's claw reached in. Yun Chujio saw that the claw was covered with fiery red long fur under the dim light. Yun Chujio couldn't help but complain in her heart. The claw was as big as a basin. This demon beast's size was definitely not small. Along with the sound of the rock falling, the hole became bigger and bigger. A huge demon beast's head poked in. Yun Chujio's eyes narrowed. She finally recognized the species of this demon beast. It was actually a level 45 fire-eating Xiao. Yun Chujio counted with her fingers. Level 45 was equivalent to the 5th to 6th level of the spiritual space of a human cultivator. Fuck, it was really deadly. One fire-eating Xiao often appeared near volcanoes. Their food was the rocks that were burned by the Earth's core fire. This fire-eating Xiao must have sensed the abnormality in the belly of the mountain and wanted to come in to investigate. Although the fire-eating Xiao's main food was the rocks that were burned by the Earth's core fire, it did not mean that it did not eat humans. Perhaps it wanted to change its taste today. Moreover, Yun Chujio had already absorbed all the flames that it relied on to survive. It would be strange if it did not kill her. Although the fire-eating Xiao's huge head had entered, its body parts were still stuck in the hole. It was obvious that it was too impatient and wanted to poke its head in to see what was going on. Yun Chuzhou knew that this was the only chance for her to win. She suddenly jumped forward and sprinkled the chili dough in her hand at the fire-eating show. She also shot a small purple needle at the fire-eating show's 7 orifices. Yun Chuzhou thought that she would succeed in her sneak attack. However, she did not expect that although the chili dough was effective, the effect of the small needle of spiritual power was very limited. After the explosion, it did not cause any damage to the fire-eating show. However, it angered the fire-eating show. It used its claws to expand the hole and jumped in. Yun Chuzhou was so scared that she quickly threw another big bag of chili dough. However, this time, the fire-eating show was prepared. The long hair on its neck suddenly expanded and covered its head. Moreover, it spat a huge ball of fire at Yun Chuzhou. Chapter 23:19, Curly Hair's Fire-Eating Show. Yun Chuzhou was overjoyed. Big sister has the fire-repelling pearl, so why would she be afraid of your broken fireball? However, this fireball was too big, and it would cause internal injuries if it hit the body, so it was better to avoid it. Fire-Eating Xiao also discovered that Yun Chuzhou was not afraid of fire, but that was also true. This stinky girl was hiding in the belly of the mountain, so she was definitely not afraid of fire. Perhaps the fire marrow was stolen by her, she really deserved to die. Although Yun Chuzhou was not afraid of fire, she still needed to move around to avoid the fireball. Moreover, this fire-eating Xiao's body was extremely strong. Its sharp claws and barbed tail had great lethality. In addition, the ground in the belly of the mountain was uneven, so it did not matter if she had 4 legs. However, a certain Jiao with 2 legs had suffered, and she would stumble from time to time. Yun Chuzhou felt that the best plan for now was to escape 36 times. She had already felt it. The wind that blew in from the cave entrance was cold. She guessed that she would be outside once she got out. As long as she sat on the chopping board outside, she would be able to escape. The key was how to escape. Yun Chuzhou had thought of using the small flame to attack, but since the fire-eating Xiao dared to break into the mountain, the small flame's damage to it was probably limited. Moreover, if the small flame was exposed, it might bring even greater trouble. It seemed like she could only use the little black bird's curse. However, she had to calculate the timing and location well. There was only one chance, so she could not make the slightest mistake. In fact, this fellow had the jade token given to her by Di Biming and the golden light sky umbrella given to her by Old Master Yi. It could withstand 2 attacks from the fire-eating Xiao. However, this fellow was a money grubber. She was reluctant to use it as a last resort, this was a life-saving item. I say, little cat, how old are you? Why are you so weak? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The fire-eating Xiao roared a few times. You are the fucking cat. You are the weak one. You little weakling. Yun Chuzhou kept chattering non-stop. The fire-eating Xiao was getting more and more irritable. A glimmer of light flashed in Yun Chuzhou's eyes. It was now. The fire-eating Xiao suddenly stumbled. Immediately after, a large sack of chili was thrown at it. The fire-eating Xiao used its long hair to protect its eyes, but it also gave Yun Chuzhou time to escape. Yun Chuzhou suddenly jumped out of the hole. She couldn't help but be happy. She had really reached the outside. This fellow quickly called out the chopping board and sat on it. When it flew more than 100 feet high, the fire-eating Xiao jumped out. Yun Chuzhou curled the corner of her mouth and threw a large pile of super-grade burst talismans at the fire-eating Xiao. Although she knew that these burst talismans could not kill the fire-eating Xiao, it was not a bad thing to disgust it. The sound of explosions and the fire-eating Xiao's angry roar could be heard continuously from below. Yun Chujio shouted to the people below, "Little cat, big sister is leaving. We will meet again in the future." Just as Yun Chujio was showing off, she suddenly felt goosebumps all over her body. She saw two huge demonic birds flying towards her from afar. Damn it! She was not amongst flesh, how could she be so unlucky? When she was flying on the spiritual artifact, she did not see any demonic birds attacking her. Yun Chujio looked again and saw that the demonic birds had 3 eyes and their tails were purple. She was so angry that she wanted to hit the wall. These two were also level 45 demonic birds, 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles. Fuck! She was dead for sure. One of them might be able to command the chopping board to escape, but if there were 2 of them, how could they survive? Yun Chujio weighed the pros and cons and could only land bitterly. She waved her claws at the fire-eating Xiao who had been blown up into curly hair. "Hi, we meet again. What a coincidence." Chapter 23:20, Turning them into roasted chickens. Fire-eating Xiao was absolutely furious. What a coincidence. Damned little weakling. My beautiful long fur has now turned into curly fur. I must eat you today. Kitten, don't eat me first. Look at the sky. Yun Chujio pointed at the sky with her hand. 2 huge 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles had already flown over. Fire-eating Xiao's pupils shrank. If it was a 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle, it wouldn't be afraid. But if there were 2, it didn't have much of a chance of winning. If it wasn't careful, it would lose its life. "Little cat, how about we make a deal? How about we work together to kill those 2 little birds?" Yun Chujio said with a smile. This mountain range spanned hundreds of li. There might be some high-level demon beasts. If she wanted to leave, she could only walk from the sky. If the 2 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles didn't die, she wouldn't be able to leave. Fire-eating Xiao snorted in disdain. Its meaning was self-evident. "You little weakling, you still want to form an alliance with me? What use are you?" Yun Chujio lowered her voice. "I know what you're thinking. It's because I'm weak, that's why I'm useful. Later, when the fight starts, pretend to be seriously injured and hide in the cave. I'll lure the 2 silly birds in. Well, turn them into roasted chickens." Fire-eating Xiao rolled its eyes. Since it didn't have anything to do with it, it would just agree with her. She wouldn't dare to play any tricks. Just as they finished their discussion, the 2 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles swooped down and clawed at Yun Chujio and fire-eating Xiao. Yun Chujio threw a stack of super-grade burst talismans at the 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles. Anyway, there were plenty of these things, so they could be treated as firecrackers. Fire-eating Xiao, on the other hand, roared repeatedly and spat out a large fireball at one of the 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condor. The 2 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condor dodged while wondering, how did this fire-eating Xiao get together with a weak human chicken? Could it be that the fire-eating Xiao was subdued by this weak human chicken? How was this possible? No matter what, this fire-eating Xiao usually hid in the cave. It was not easy for it to come out today, so this was a once-in-lifetime opportunity. Its meat was much better than those low-level demon beasts, and its inner core could also increase spiritual power. As for that human girl's tender skin and flesh, she would treat it as a small snack before dinner. After Yun Chujio threw a pile of talismans, she exclaimed, "Oh my god, the talismans are used up, and my internal injuries have relapsed. I can't take it anymore, I'm leaving." After Yun Chujio said that, she slipped into the cave. Fire-eating Xiao was so angry that it almost fainted. It was supposed to pretend to be heavily injured, but she was the bait to lure the 3-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle. Now, it was her pretending to be injured, and it had become the bait. Humans were too cunning. Although the fire-eating Xiao was furious, it could only retreat as it fought. Coincidentally, one of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's claws scratched a hole in its body. It let out a blood-curdling scream and retreated into the cave. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles looked at each other. There was an earth flame in the cave, so they could only return empty-handed. At this moment, the voice of the little human girl came from inside. "Woo woo, little cat, why are you bleeding so much? If you die, what will happen to me? The earth flame in here has been extinguished. If those two ugly birds come in, I'm dead for sure." The eyes of the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles shone with surprise. The earth flame had been extinguished. That's right, if the core fire hadn't been extinguished, wouldn't that little human girl have turned into ashes long ago? This was a once-in-lifetime opportunity. That fire-eating Xiao was already heavily injured, so that little girl wasn't even worth mentioning. As long as she entered, the delicious food would be in her mouth. Chapter 23-21 Eye of Enchantment. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors looked at each other and went into the belly of the mountain one after the other. The temperature in the belly of the mountain was still very high. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors were obviously not used to it. If it were not for their high level of spiritual power, they would have become roasted chickens long ago. However, humans died for money and birds died for food. They saw the fire-eating Xiao lying on the ground in the distance without moving, and the little girl was crying her eyes out. They were overjoyed. It seemed that the fire-eating Xiao no longer had any ability to resist. That weak human chick was not even worth mentioning. It would be able to kill them very soon. When the time came, they would just bring out the corpse and eat it. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles thought of this and quickly pounced towards Yunchujio and the fire-eating Xiao. At this moment, the little girl with tears on her face threw two big sacks at them. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles subconsciously used their sharp claws to grab the big sacks. How tragic! With a boom, the chili inside the gunny sacks flew in all directions. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles choked so hard that they couldn't open their eyes. Yunchujio had already put on her gas mask, while the fire-eating Xiao used the long hair on its neck to protect its head. At the same time, a human and a beast launched an attack at the same time. Fire-eating Xiao threw a huge fireball at one of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles, while Yunchujio used a high-level physical transformation spell to release the little piglet of spiritual power. Fire-eating Xiao could not help but be distracted. Previously, when this weak human chick fought with me, it did not release this thing, so this piglet was probably useless. However, it was surprised to find that the spiritual piglets were quite agile. The strangest thing was that when the spiritual piglets were about to dissipate, they actually gathered into a purple spiritual piglet. It fiercely pounced on the neck of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condor and began to bite. The three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condor shook its head with all its might, but it was useless. It could only use its claws to pull the purple piglet. This way, its attack power was greatly reduced. Fire-eating Xiao was dumbfounded. It did not expect that the little weakling still had some skills. Although the purple spiritual energy piglet's attack power was not very strong, it was really difficult to deal with. At this moment, Yunchujio shouted at fire-eating Xiao, "You silly cat! What are you waiting for? Stick to the original plan." Fire-eating Xiao was scolded until it was dumbfounded. However, it still followed the previous agreement and blocked the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles with 1-against-2. Although it was on the same level as the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles, it still had an advantage on the ground. Moreover, the temperature in the belly of the mountain was extremely high. The strength of the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles was greatly reduced. Yun Chuzhou took advantage of this time to run to the entrance of the cave. She took out a pile of big rocks from her storage ring and blocked the entrance of the cave tightly, so that the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors would not run out, or perhaps other demon beasts would run in. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors only realized that they had been tricked at this moment. It turned out that all of this was planned by the little weakling and the fire-eating show. It was really detestable. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors exchanged glances with each other. The eye above their heads was emitting a purple glow. The three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condor's innate ability was the Eye of Enchantment. However, every time they used it, they would have to expend a huge amount of spiritual power. Therefore, the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors rarely used it lightly. Fire-eating Shio's gaze could not help but become somewhat unfocused, and its movements became much slower. When the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed condors saw this, they were overjoyed. Although they had expended a lot of spiritual power, it was still worth it. Chapter 23-22 took advantage of them just as the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles were feeling smug. They strangely discovered that the little human chicken was still alive and kicking. It even muttered, "Eye of Enchantment. TSK, that's all it is." Yun Chuzhou shot a few purple needles at the fire-eating show. "You silly cat, don't look at their eyes." The pain woke the fire-eating show up. It did not bother to settle the score with Yun Chuzhou and started fighting with the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles again. The two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles used a lot of spiritual power to use the Eye of Enchantment and soon fell into a disadvantageous position. 2 hours later, Yun Chuzhou and the fire-eating show finally killed the two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles. However, the man and the beast were so tired that they were panting and collapsed on the ground. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. This fire-eating show was not a good thing. She had to retreat quickly. Otherwise, if this damn fire-eating show recovered, it might eat her as well. Yun Chuzhou forced herself to stand up and put the stone at the entrance of the cave into her storage ring. She rolled her eyes and turned back. The fire-eating show initially thought that Yun Chuzhou was trying to escape. It was too tired, so it was too lazy to chase after her. Now that Yun Chuzhou had returned, it could not help but stare at Yun Chuzhou suspiciously. What was this little weakling trying to do? Could it be that she wanted to kill me? She was really courting death. Yun Chuzhou giggled at the fire-eating show. The fire-eating show was dumbfounded. Why was this little weakling laughing? Just as the fire-eating show was confused, it saw Yun Chuzhou put the corpse of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle into her storage ring and then jumped out. Before the fire-eating show could react, it heard a clear voice coming from outside, "Kitten, no matter what, we work together to kill these two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles. It's only right for me to take one. I'm leaving. We'll never see each other again." Fire-eating show gritted its teeth in anger and suddenly jumped out of the cave. Yun Chuzhou had already flown into the air and was winking at it. How arrogant was she? Fire-eating show roared in anger. "Damn little weakling. Unless we can't see each other again in the future, I'll definitely kill you." Yun Chuzhou was in a good mood. Not only did she escape death, but she also gained a huge advantage. Awesome. It was only then that she realized that the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring was vibrating non-stop. She could not help but pat her thigh. The voice transmission talisman in the belly of the mountain should not be useful, and she was too nervous to notice it just now. It had already been a day and a night since she fell into the belly of the mountain. It was already the morning of the second day. Jin Ji must have been worried sick when she realized that she had not returned to Xingtian Academy. She would definitely send a voice transmission talisman to Enfeng. If Enfeng knew, the gigolo would know as well. Sure enough, several voice transmission talismans in the storage ring were trembling non-stop. Di Baiming's, Enfeng's, Shui Wuji's, and Jin Ji's. Yun Chuzhou quickly replied to them one by one, stating that she had already escaped danger. She would return to the Yi family first before returning to the academy. As for Xingtian Academy, there was still the Yi family, so she naturally didn't have to worry. Yun Chuzhou could not help but curse in her heart. The management of the Xingtian Academy and the Wa Stone Academy was actually not strict. It was much easier to apply for leave than the Tianyuan Academy. Moreover, a first-class family could obtain special privileges with a little pressure. No wonder after so many years, the two academies had only managed to reach the same level of strength as a first-class sect. There was simply no way for them to compare to a super sect like the Primordial Chaos sect. Yun Chuzhou summoned her flying spirit tool and flew towards Yi City. She calculated in her heart and naturally, she could not tell the truth. However, she had to be able to explain it. After all, housekeeper Fu and the others should have seen her fall into the belly of the mountain. Chapter 23-23 Yun Chujia's funeral. At this moment, the entire Yi family was in a state of silence. With such a big incident, the grounding of the Gushi was no longer necessary. However, the power of the housekeeper was still in the hands of the Lu Shi. It was the first time that the Lu Shi was in power. Naturally, she wanted to show off, so she was very efficient. Not only had she finished purchasing all the funeral supplies, but she had also sent people to send letters to the various families yesterday afternoon. As for the cause of Yun Chujia's death, it could not be said that she had died from the fire because she wanted to be convenient. If she were to say that, it would probably make people laugh their heads off. The Yi family's explanation to the public was that on the way back to Tianyuan Academy, Yun Chuzhou suddenly suffered from a bad illness and died instantly. She was merely a young lady who had yet to be married. No one from the other families would investigate the true cause of her death. Some of the clans that were close to her had already arrived at the Yi residence to pay their respects. The relationships between the various large clans were deeply intertwined. Moreover, the Yi clan was considered to be one of the top-tier clans. Hence, the other clans naturally would not neglect them. Yun Chujia's corpse was nowhere to be found. Lu Shi simply placed an empty coffin in the spirit shed. She was very pleased in her heart. Although this Yun Chuzhou was detestable, it had to be said that her death had really fulfilled her wish. The people who came and went were all influential figures from various clans. The male guests were greeted by Yi Yuanliang and the others, so she was naturally the one to greet the female guests. This was a good opportunity to build a closer relationship. Yi Bingying followed behind Lu Shi with a mournful expression on her face. She was constantly praised by the various madams. Her appearance, character, and aptitude were all praises. In short, some madams even revealed the intention of marrying. Next year will be the year when the Hunyuan sect opens to recruit disciples. Bingying has to apply for the exam. To be honest, as her mother, I really can't bear to part with her, but I can't let her future be delayed just because I can't bear to part with her. Lu Shi sighed and said. Lu Shi's words naturally caused all the madams to praise Yi Bingying again. If it weren't for the funeral at home, Lu Shi and her mother would probably be overjoyed. This kind of public display naturally had nothing to do with Min Shi and Yi Bingyu. The two of them were just decorations in the spirit shed. Yi Bingyi's eyes were red. She was really a little sad when she saw the coffin. Although she wished she could kill Yun Chuzhou in the past, she felt very sad in her heart now. Min Shi also didn't feel too good. She was different from Yi Bingyu. The reason why she felt sad was because Yun Chujio was dead. Who would help the second branch break the deadlock in the future? It was not easy for a troublemaker to come, but he actually died just like that. Could this be the will of heaven? After Yun Chujio, who was already dead, entered Yi City, she discovered that there seemed to be a lot of people walking towards the Yi family. She could not help but be puzzled. Could these people all be going to the Yi family? Yun Chujio wandered to the front door of the Yi residence. From afar, she could see the servants coming in and out of the Yi residence wearing mourning clothes. The front door of the Yi residence was also covered in white, and the faint sound of Suona playing mournful music could be heard. Yun Chujio was stunned at first, then she clutched her stomach and squatted on the ground. This fellow almost laughed out loud. Damn! Could it be that the Yi family was holding her funeral? This fellow rubbed his chin and thought about it. However, it was also true. If an ordinary person fell into the volcano, they would naturally have a slim chance of survival. No wonder the Yi family thought that she was already dead. From the looks of it, there were quite a number of people coming. TSK, I didn't expect her funeral to be so grand. This fellow took a few steps forward, wanting to return to the Yi residence. After some thought, she stopped in her tracks. This funeral was a good opportunity to see everyone's true colors. Moreover, her sudden appearance might catch the Yi family off guard. It was better to sneak in first and act according to the circumstances. Chapter 23-24 Attending her funeral. After making up her mind, she hid in a quiet corner and took out a disguise pill. She carefully cut off a small piece and stuffed it into her mouth. This disguise pill could change her appearance for 10 days. She only took 1/10 of it, which meant that she could change her appearance for a day. She found another inn and changed into a set of moon-white clothes. Then, she went outside the Yi residence and followed a group of mourners into the Yi residence. Normally, Yun Chujio would not be able to sneak in. However, it was an emergency period now. This guy was also a good actor. He did not look guilty at all. The guards of the Yi residence all thought that she was a maid of some lady, therefore, they did not interrogate her. It was even easier when she entered the Yi residence. There were a lot of people coming and going. The Li family thought that she was a maid of the Zhang family, while the Zhang family thought that she was a maid of the Wang family. Therefore, Yun Chujio was not worried that her identity would be exposed. Yun Chujio followed everyone to the spirit shed. When she saw the coffin that was parked there, the corners of her eyes could not help but twitch. She was probably the only one who would attend her funeral. Yun Chujio saw that Yi Bingyi's eyes were red. She thought to herself, at least this idiot has a conscience. I should not bully her a few times in the future. Just as Yun Chujio was secretly thinking about it, she heard a Madame and Lu Shi talking in a low voice. Madame Lu, as far as I know, isn't there only one young lady in the Yi family's second branch? What happened to the third young lady of the Yi family who passed away this time? When the lady asked this question, the other ladies also gathered around. They were obviously very curious as well. Originally, great-grandfather Yi wanted to find an opportunity to formally introduce Yun Chujio to everyone. Who would have thought that she would die just like that? Therefore, many people were very curious about the deceased third lady of the Yi family. This, to tell you the truth, the one who passed away this time was Sister Lan's daughter. Previously, she had been living in a low-level continent. Not long ago, she was brought to the western continent by the Mo family. Recently, she was brought to the eastern continent. My great-grandfather pitied her for losing her mother at such a young age. Moreover, she was living a difficult life, so a few days ago, he registered her under the second son's name. Who would have thought that she died yesterday? Lu Shi pretended to wipe away her non-existent tears. Yun Chujia's eyes deepened. This Lu Shi really hated her to the bone. She was already dead now, yet she still wanted to bully her. There was no need for Lu Shi to go into such detail. Moreover, what did she mean by living a difficult life? This was clearly mocking her, wanting everyone to look down on her. Sure enough, after Lu Shi finished speaking, some madams started discussing in low voices, so it's Yilan's daughter. TSK, this mother and daughter's lives are really tough. They actually passed away so early. They've been living in low-level continents all this time. No wonder they contracted a sudden illness at such a young age. This low-level continent just can't do it. Back then, Yilan was expelled from the Yi family. I heard that she married into a small family in the western continent. I reckon that her daughter's aptitude isn't that great either. That's why her physical fitness is so poor. Other than disdain, there was also a hint of schadenfreude in the tone of the people who spoke. They were all around Yilan's age. Back then, Yilan was exceptionally talented and devastatingly beautiful, making them appear incomparably mediocre. Now, not only did Yilan die, but her daughter also did not have a good ending. It was really venting her anger. Lu Shi heard the discussions of the crowd, but she only smiled and did not say anything. She had always been good at putting on a facade, so naturally, she would not let others talk about her. Chapter 23-25 Was better to climb out of the coffin. Yun Chujio recorded all these people in Xiao Hei's account book. There was no need to be afraid of accounting. Let's take it slow. After a while, Yun Chujio saw that everyone here was either praising Yi Bingying or belittling her and Yilan, so she sneaked to the west living room of the Yi residence. The Yi residence had two large living rooms. The east living room was usually used to entertain male guests, while the west living room was used to entertain female guests. Gushi sat at the main seat and was chatting with a few old ladies. Naturally, the topic of conversation could not avoid mentioning Yun Chujio. Although Gushi tried her best to suppress the gloating in her heart. However, her tone still carried a hint of gloating. Sigh. You all probably heard that girl is Lan's daughter. Not to mention her spiritual power, her personality is not as obedient as Bingying. She also has a heavenly thunder spirit root that the heavenly Tao does not tolerate. The sudden death this time is probably due to the heavenly Tao wiping her out. The few old ladies present were all quite shocked and they heard Gushi's words. It was actually a heavenly lightning spiritual root. No wonder she died so suddenly at such a young age. The few old ladies present were all shrewd. When they saw Gushi's expression and heard her words, they naturally understood that this Ji Shi probably did not like the third Miss Yi who had died. Everyone felt some disdain in their hearts. Although this Yi family was ranked high, this Gushi was really unable to bring herself to show off. No matter how dissatisfied you were in your heart, she was already dead, so you shouldn't say anything right or wrong. It was really demeaning. However, there were still people who supported her. Lu Shi's mother, Yang Shi, smiled and echoed, "Mother-in-law, if you ask me, Yilan was removed from the Yi family back then. You actually succeeded her daughter under the name of the second son. Your Yi family is really magnanimous." Gushi sighed, after all, she's a junior. Even if she doesn't live up to her expectations, she can't just stand by and do nothing. It's not that I want to say this, but that girl's temperament is really not that good. I originally wanted to teach her some rules, but I didn't expect that she would actually die just like her short-lived mother. Hearing Gushi's words, only Yang Shi chimed in with a few words. The other old madams did not say anything. It was better to die. Gushi's harshness was really a little too much. Yun Chujio, who was standing in the corner, curled her lips. She wondered if Ge Shi and Lu Shi would be so angry that they would vomit blood if they knew that she was not dead. Jump around as much as you want. The more you jump around now, the more disappointed you would be. Yun Chujio was afraid that she would be exposed if she stayed in the house for too long. Therefore, she found an opportunity to leave the west living room and returned to the vicinity of the spirit shed. It was difficult to hide in this place with so many people. Yun Chujio learned from the crowd that the rule here was to hold a funeral banquet on the third day after the spirit was suspended, and then bury the deceased. Yun Chujio calculated that tomorrow would be the official day. Other than the people who came today to pay their respects, there would be many people who would rush over. Then, she would give them a surprise tomorrow. She had already figured it out. Since the Yi family had told the public that she had died suddenly, the best way for her to resurrect was to climb out of the coffin. TSK, just thinking about it made her a little excited. However, how could she climb into the coffin? There should be someone guarding the coffin even at night. It seemed like she needed to find an insider. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and looked at Yi Bingyu, who was drooping her head with ill intentions. Yi Bingyu was daydreaming when she suddenly felt that someone was looking at her. When she looked up, she did not find anything unusual. Yi Bingyu shook her head. It was most likely because she did not sleep well yesterday that she was hallucinating. Chapter 23-26, I have something important to tell you. After all, Yun Chujio was only an unmarried girl. The funeral rules in the immortal Yuan continent were not as complicated as those in the secular world. Thus, the people accompanying the spirits only needed to stand and return the gifts to the mourners. However, standing for the entire morning was tiring enough. Lu Shi and Yi Bingyu were naturally unwilling to do such a laborious task. They had long accompanied those madams to the western living room. Min Shi and Yi Bingyu, who were not welcomed by Gu Shi, were tragically left in the spirit loft. Min Shi's heart ached for Yi Bingyu, so she lowered her voice and said, according to the rules, condolence is only allowed before noon. After noon, you can go back to the courtyard to rest for a while. Mother will stay here to guard. Mother, your health is not good. It's better for me to stay here to guard. You can go back and rest. Yi Bingyu stretched her limbs and said. The mother and daughter moved back and forth. In the end, it was still the Min Shi who persuaded Yi Bingyu. Yi Bingyu could only listen to the Min Shi's arrangements and prepare to return to the courtyard to rest for a while before coming over to replace the Min Shi. Yun Chujio, who was hiding in the corner, could not help but have her eyes light up. This was her chance. Yun Chujio followed behind Yi Bingyu and walked towards the backyard. When the old woman guarding the main gate of the inner residence saw that Yun Chujio was following Yi Bingyu, she did not stop her. She guessed that some lattice maid was following Miss Bingyu to retrieve something. Yi Bingyu did not notice it at first because she had a lot on her mind. After a while, she realized that something was wrong. Stop! Which guest's maid are you? Why did you break into the back residence? Yi Bingyu shouted sternly. Yun Chujio smiled at Yi Bingyu and said in a low voice, Sister Bingyu, it's me. I'm little Jiu, who wants to enter the primordial chaos sect with you. Yi Bingyu was stunned for a moment before she subconsciously wanted to scream. However, Yun Chujio, who was already prepared, covered her mouth and said, I didn't die from the fire. I have something to tell you. It's important. Yun Chujio saw that Yi Bingyu had calmed down, so she let go of her hand and said, continue walking forward and pretend that nothing happened. Yi Bingyu felt that her brain was not enough. Little Jiu had not been burned to death. How was this possible? That was the earth core fire. Housekeeper Fu said that only the mighty figures of the primordial chaos sect could save their lives. How could little Jiu be safe? And how did her appearance become like this? How did she do it? Yi Bingyu returned to her own courtyard in a daze. The other maids and women in the courtyard had gone to help, leaving only Lu Li behind. Lu Li saw that her miss had brought back an unfamiliar girl. Although she was curious, she did not dare to ask further. Stand guard outside. Don't let anyone in, Yi Bingyu said to Lu Li. Lu Li obediently stood guard outside the courtyard. Only then did Yi Bingyu lower her voice and exclaimed, "Are you really Yun Chuzhou? You didn't lie to me. Aren't you dead? Pooey. You're the one who's dead. A disaster like me will live for 10,000 years." Yun Chuzhou crossed her legs and sat on the chair. She poured herself a cup of tea and sipped it. Initially, Yi Bingyu had some doubts about Yun Chuzhou's identity. Now that she heard her tone and looked at how shameless she was, she immediately confirmed that the person in front of her was the thick-skinned Yun Chuzhou. Yi Bingyi's nose was a little sore, and she said unhappily, "Since you're not dead, why did you pretend to be a ghost and become like this?" Sigh. It's a long story. I only found out that I was dead after I entered the city. I can't say that I'm alive again, right? If that's the case, where will the Yi family put their face? Yun Chuzhou sighed and said. Chapter 23-27 showed you something good. Even if what you said makes sense, didn't you fall into the volcano? Why aren't you dead? Yi Bingyu was a little girl after all, so her curiosity overcame her resentment. Yun Chuzhou smiled mysteriously. Sister Bingyu, let's go to the courtyard. I'll show you something good. Yi Bingyu didn't understand and followed Yun Chuzhou into the courtyard. Yun Chuzhou threw the three-eyed purple-tailed iron claw sculpture on the ground, and the huge corpse immediately occupied the entire courtyard. Yi Bingyu didn't have time to feel sorry for the crushed flowers and plants. She was so shocked that she couldn't speak. She carefully walked closer and carefully looked at it. She stuttered, This is a level 45 three-eyed purple-tailed iron claw sculpture. Yun Chuzhou nodded. That's right. I heard that the leather of this thing is a good material to make boots. I'll give you a pair when the time comes. Really? Yi Bingyu was pleasantly surprised. The boots made of the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's leather not only had a defensive function, but also could increase the wearer's speed. However, the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle was very difficult to capture by cultivators, so the boots made of its leather couldn't be bought even if one had money. Of course it's true. I've told you that if anyone treats me well, I'll repay them very well. Once I die, you'll be so sad. Naturally, I'll treat you as a good sister. Yun Chuzhou had always thought that if you treat others well, you shouldn't be embarrassed to say it. Not everyone was a clever person, and not everyone knew who to thank for their kindness. Therefore, when it was time to show off, they had to show off. As expected, Yi Bingyu was very touched. Although she didn't say anything, she remembered Yun Chuzhou's kindness. Yun Chuzhou put the three-eyed purple-tailed iron claw eagle back into her storage ring, and the two of them returned to the house. Little Jiu, how did you get this three-eyed purple-tailed iron claw eagle? Yi Bingyu asked curiously. Yun Chuzhou giggled. Didn't I fall down? When I saw the fire below, I felt that I was doomed. Fortunately, with the golden umbrella that my grandfather gave me, I survived for a while. Fortunately, although the mountain was extremely hot, there was no intense fire. However, the mountain peak was sealed, so I had no way to come out. After a long time, I still couldn't find a way out. Just as I was frowning, I heard the sound of a demonic beast's claw pulling at a rock. I was scared half to death and hid behind a rock. Soon, a basin-sized hole appeared on the rock wall, a claw covered in fiery red fur extended from outside. Guess what kind of demonic beast that is? Yi Bingjia's heart was in her throat as she shook her head. How would I know? Tell me quickly, don't keep me in suspense. After a while, the cave entrance became bigger and bigger. A level 45 fire-eating Xiao actually entered. I was so scared that I almost fainted. How could I be a match for that thing? At this critical moment, a bird's call came from outside. The fire-eating Xiao was attracted by the bird's call and turned around to walk out. I heard the intense sounds of fighting outside. I gritted my teeth and walked to the cave entrance to carefully look outside. I discovered that it was actually a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle fighting with the fire-eating Xiao. Although the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle was powerful, the fire-eating Xiao was even more powerful. After more than an hour, the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle was killed. At this moment, another three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle flew over. It was probably the original one's companion. They were fighting with the fire-eating Xiao. I took advantage of the fact that they were fighting in the distance and both sides were injured. I collected the three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle's corpse and escaped in the chaos. TSK, how is it? Only a smart person like me can benefit from a disaster. Not only did I survive the disaster, but I also obtained the corpse of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle. Are you convinced? Yun Chuzhou said smugly. Chapter 23-28, Yun Chuzhiu's resurrection plan. Yi Bingyu was dumbfounded. The thrilling and bizarre process had already exceeded her imagination. There was actually no fire in the belly of the mountain. She had even encountered a fire-eating Xiao and two three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagles. In the end, not only did this fellow escape unscathed, he had even picked up the corpse of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle for nothing. Yun Chuzhiu's story was something she had thought up after much thought. Although it sounded a little strange, half of it was the truth. Even if the Yi family sent people to check, the belly of the mountain was indeed empty, and they could still find the fire-eating Xiao. Moreover, there was the corpse of a three-eyed purple-tailed iron-clawed eagle as evidence. However, the Yi family would probably not go. After all, a level 45 fire-eating Xiao was not to be trifled with. After a long while, Yi Bingyu finally regained her senses. She asked Yun Chuzhou a few more details, and Yun Chuzhou told her everything vividly. Yi Bingyu sighed in her heart. This little Jiu was really lucky. She actually encountered such a strange thing and did not die. Could it be that she was really a scourge that lived for 10,000 years? Oh right, how did your appearance become like this? Yi Bingyu asked curiously. I accidentally got a disguise pill. After I ate it, my appearance became like this. Don't worry. I'll be able to return to my original appearance tomorrow morning. Now let's discuss how to perfectly resurrect me. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Isn't that simple? I'll send a voice transmission talisman to great-grandfather. He will naturally be able to help you think of a good idea, Yi Bingyu said lightly. When we come up with a plan, we'll naturally have to inform great-grandfather, but not now. I don't need to tell you that Gushi and the eldest branch have spies everywhere. They can't wait for me to die, and they might take the opportunity to really kill me. Even if they don't dare to kill me and take the opportunity to pour dirty water on me, I'll die of grievance. I don't want to be pointed at by others. Moreover, if the news gets out, our Yi family will lose an adult. There was another point that Yun Chuzhou did not mention. This funeral was a good opportunity. It would be a pity if it was wasted like this. Then wouldn't she die in vain? Little Jiu, what do you want to do? Although Yi Bingyu did not beat around the bush as much as Yun Chuzhou, she was not stupid. She had heard the conversation between the Lu Shi and those people. She could criticize a dead person. If she knew that little Jiao was faking her death, she would definitely make up something even more vicious. When you're on night duty, think of a way to distract the others. Then, they'll climb into the coffin. Tomorrow at the funeral, you'll do this. Then, they'll do this. Let's put on a good show for them to see, Yun Chuzhou said slyly. Yi Bingyu was dumbfounded after hearing it. She felt that if she were to compare her brain to this pervert in front of her, her brain would be useless. This guy had too many bad ideas. Then what should I tell great-grandfather? Yi Bingyu was now completely convinced by a certain Jiao's Black Lotus skill. She simply listened to whatever she was told. We can't tell him now. If we do, great-grandfather might stop us, and he might even leak the news. We'll talk about it tomorrow morning. When you tell him, you'll also be vague and say whatever you can. If he scolds you afterward, just say that I forced you not to tell him. If there's anything, just push it on me. I naturally have a way to coax him into letting me off. If she told old Master Yi in advance, there was an 80 to 90% chance that he would not agree with her approach. If that was the case, wouldn't her bad intentions be in vain? Chapter 23-29 Chit-chat across the coffin. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes and continued, the old woman guarding the inner residence saw me just now. In a while, let Lu Li wear my clothes and go out with you. Then, when the old woman is changing shifts, Lu Li will sneak in again to avoid any trouble. What about me? Come back during dinner. I will wear Lu Li's clothes and go out with you. Then, at midnight, you will think of a way to distract your mother so that I can lie in the coffin. Yi Bingyu nodded. She had already broken all the rules. Anyway, her brain could not be compared to a pervert's. She would just do as Yun Chuzhou said. After the two of them finished discussing, Yi Bingyu ate something. Then, she asked Lu Li to change into Yun Chuzhou's clothes and followed Yi Bingyu out of the inner residence. Lu Li had her head lowered the whole time. In addition, Yi Bingyu had intentionally or unintentionally covered her face. The old woman guarding the door subconsciously thought that it was the maid who had just come in. During dinner, Yi Bingyu used the same trick again and brought Yun Chuzhou, who was wearing Lu Li's clothes, out. The sky was already getting dark, and the old woman guarding the door didn't pay much attention to it. She thought that Yi Bingyu had brought her maid out. When they reached the spirit shed, Yun Chuzhou found a corner and stood with her head lowered. Min Shi also thought that it was one of Yi Bingyi's maids, so she didn't pay too much attention to it. Mother, you've been guarding here for a day. Go back and rest. I'll keep watch, Yi Bingyu said to Min Shi. How could Min Shi trust Yi Bingyu to keep watch? No matter what she said, she wouldn't agree. In the end, Yi Bingyu said, Mother, why don't you go back and rest for 4 hours before coming back? We mother and daughter will keep watch together. Min Shi was indeed a little tired. She could only nod in agreement and give some instructions. Then, she stood up and left the spirit loft. There were still some guards outside the spirit loft. Yi Bingyu walked out and said to them, You guys have been standing there for a whole day. Come back after you have eaten at the canteen. Those guards naturally could not wait. All of them left with great gratitude. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Bingyu and Yun Chuzhou lifted the lid of the coffin, and then Yun Chuzhou lay inside. TSK, it's still quite comfortable inside. Sister Bingyu, do you want to come in and lie down for a while? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. The corner of Yi Bingyi's eyes twitched. You can enjoy yourself inside. I'm not as perverted as you. Just as Yi Bingyu was speaking, the coffin was opened. Yun Chuzhou sat inside and scolded, It's good in here, but it's a little hard to breathe. I need to make a few air holes. Keep an eye on it. Let me know if anyone comes. Yi Bingyu nodded and walked to the exit of the spirit shed to keep an eye on it. Yun Chuzhou shot a few purple needles at the bottom of the coffin to control the force of the explosion and made a few air holes. Seeing that Yun Chuzhou was done, Yi Bingyu walked over to help close the coffin lid. The two of them began to chat across the coffin board. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips and said, "Sister Bingyu, I'm not trying to sow discord. Don't you think that Gushi and the eldest branch are too much? Not only did they let you and second aunt guard during the day, but they also let you guard at night." Lu Shi and Yi Bingying rushed to the front when something good happened, but they left the suffering to our second branch. Yi Bingyu snorted coldly, "It's always like this. The main branch is the one who shows his face, but the second branch is the one who contributes. To say something disrespectful, this is because you're dead, so they let me and my mother guard the place. If someone else dies, I think my father will have to come and guard the place too." Chapter 23:30, The Sinister Gushi. Sister Bingyu, don't worry. They will be as miserable as they are now. Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. There was plenty of time in the future, and this was just the beginning. Yi Bingyu agreed. She was looking forward to what would happen the next morning. After a while, the guards returned. Yi Bingyu knelt beside the coffin and whispered to Yun Chuzhou. The spiritual tent was very big, so the guards outside couldn't hear her. Even if they were discovered and said that she was crying, no one would suspect anything. After a while, the Minshi didn't come over either. Yi Bingyu couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. "Little Jiu, why do you think my mother hasn't come over yet? I guess that old venomous woman from the Gushi probably wants to torment second aunt and you. She might be faking an illness or something like that. If second aunt goes to treat her illness, you can only guard the spirit alone. This way, not only can she scare you, but she can also make second aunt feel uncomfortable." "How sinister." Yun Chuzhou curled her lips and said. "It can't be, right? Will she cause trouble at this time?" Yi Bingyu didn't quite believe it. "If you don't believe it, just send a voice transmission talisman to your mother and ask." Yun Chuzhou felt that she was most likely right. Otherwise, the Minshi loved Yi Bingyu so much that she wouldn't not come back for so long. When Yi Bingyu heard this, she sent a voice transmission talisman to the Minshi. After a while, she received a reply from the Minshi. The Minshi's voice was very anxious and helpless. "Bingyu, your grandmother said that she had a headache and insisted that I stay here to treat her illness. Hold on for a while. When she falls asleep, your mother will go over and replace you." Yi Bingyu was so angry that she gritted her teeth. "Little Jiu, it's just as you said. That old and evil woman from the Gushi is simply inhuman. How do I reply to my mother?" Yun Chuzhou thought for a moment and said, "You tell your mother that you've grown up and can help her share some things so that she doesn't have to worry about you." Yi Bingyu said somewhat bashfully, "Aren't these words of yours too mushy? I can't say it out loud." "Bah! What's there to be mushy about? If you don't say it out loud, your mother has always treated you as a child. You don't want your mother to be tortured by the old witch while worrying about you, right? Then you just follow what I've taught you." Yi Bingyu clenched her fists. Her face was slightly red as she followed Yun Chuzhou's instructions and told Minshi. At this moment, in Gushi's bedroom, Gushi was lying on the bed with her eyes closed to rest. Minshi was standing at the side with her hands hanging down. Her expression was very anxious. Gushi opened her eyes and glanced at her. She said in a strange tone, "Why? Are you very unwilling to let you serve an old woman like me?" Mother, my daughter-in-law doesn't dare. My daughter-in-law is just a little worried about Bingyu. She is alone in the spirit shed on night duty. My daughter-in-law is afraid that she will be afraid, answered Minshi gently. Humph. She is already a 19-year-old girl. What is there to be afraid of? You have to guard here tonight. Otherwise, tomorrow, I will say in front of everyone that your daughter isn't strict and will stop you from being filial to me, said Wuxia coldly. Minshi's hands were tightly clenched into fists. She wished that she could go forward and strangle this old woman to death. However, filial piety was more important than the heavens. She did not dare to. If she disobeyed Wuxia would definitely force Yi Zhiyong to divorce her. Wuxia glanced at Minshi's frowning face and felt very relieved in her heart. Slut. A few days ago, she actually teamed up with that little slut Yun Chuzhou to watch her make a fool of herself. You will suffer in the future. Just then, Minshi noticed that the sound transmission talisman started to tremble. She sent her divine sense in. Yi Bingyi's voice came from inside. Mother, you don't have to worry about me. I have already grown up. I can do it alone. You must believe me. Chapter 23:31. I am your great nobleman. Wuxia saw that Minshi's eyes were red and she felt even more relieved. She reckoned that lass, Bingyu, must be crying. She deserved it. Her little hooves weren't good either. Minshi's heart felt like it was turning upside down. She didn't expect that Bingyu had really grown up. On the other side, after Yi Bingyu sent out the voice transmission talisman, she nervously waited for Minshi's reply. Little Jiu, it was all your stupid idea. My mother must have been scared by me. Yun Chuzhou pursed her lips. If you don't believe me, don't ask for my opinion in the future. I didn't mean that. I'm just worried about my mother. That old and evil woman from Wuxia might not have thought of some vicious way to torment my mother. I just don't understand. My father is also her son. Why is she so biased towards the eldest uncle's family? Could it be because my mother didn't give birth to a son? I don't know about that. You have to ask that old woman. However, the ending of a story is usually that the child who is doted on is useless. On the contrary, the child who is neglected is more promising. Yi Bingyu was stunned. She fell into deep thought and didn't say anything. At this moment, the voice transmission talisman rang. Bingyu, you've grown up. Mother believes in you. Yi Bingyu was stunned for a moment before her nose turned sour and she started crying. The more she cried, the louder her voice became. When the guards outside the spirit hut heard this, they could not help but sigh. Miss Bingyu and the deceased third miss were really close. During the day, there were probably too many people and she was too embarrassed to cry. Now that there was no one else, she started crying. Listen to how sad she was crying. Yun Chuzhou was really brave. She used a rolling pin to prop up the coffin board and sat inside the coffin. She said faintly, "That's enough. Save your tears for tomorrow morning." Did your mother say something? Yi Bingyu wiped her tears with her hand. My mother said that I've grown up, and she said that she believed in me. I'm really useless. Although I'm shouting happily, I still can't help my mother. You're really quite stupid. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Yi Bingyu glared at her, then she heard Yun Chuzhou continue, but your fate is good. You've met such a great noble like me. Don't worry, it'll help you take care of that old woman. Moreover, it'll make your mother proud and proud of you. Yi Bingyu looked at Yun Chuzhou's eyes that were as bright as stars. Even though she was sitting in the coffin now, even though this was her spiritual tent, even though she clearly knew that the young girl's spiritual power was only at the first level of the Ling Xian realm, at this moment. She was extremely confident that what she said was true. She would really change her fate. I believe you. Yi Bingyu stared into Yun Chujia's eyes and slowly and firmly spat out these 4 words. Yun Chujio smiled brightly. In the future, you will be incomparably grateful for the decision you have made at this moment. Now, tell me everything you know, no matter how big or small. This will be the best way to pass this long night. The 2 of them conversed in low voices. They only took turns to be on night duty in the second half of the night and slept for a while. In the early morning, Min She rushed to the spirit shed. Although she felt a little more at ease after receiving Yi Bingyi's voice transmission talisman, she was still a little worried. When she saw that Yi Bingyu was alive and kicking, she finally relaxed. Mother! Are you alright? Did that old woman torture you again? Yi Bingyu lowered her voice and asked worriedly. Min She shook her head. Mother is fine. On the other hand, were you scared last night? Mother, I already said that I've grown up. I was just guarding the spirit alone. It's fine. Besides, little Jiu is still with me. Inside the coffin, Yun Chujio was so angry that she was twitching, this idiot. Chapter 23:32, The astonished old master Yi. When Yi Bingyu finished speaking, she immediately regretted it. It's over. She said it was over. Just as she did not know how to describe it, she heard the Min She say in a low voice, sigh. Little Jiu is a good child. It's just a pity that her life is bitter. In the end, even her corpse was gone. She could only make an empty coffin. Yi Bingyu and Yun Chujio could not help but heave a sigh of relief. The Min She must have misunderstood and thought that Yi Bingyu was talking about a coffin. Just as the mother and daughter were about to speak again, they saw Lu Shi and Yi Bingyu rush over. Min She could not help but sneer in her heart. This mother and daughter were used to acting. They were probably afraid that there would be early guests, so they came to pretend to be virtuous. When Lu Shi saw that Min She's eyes were red, she said smugly, Sister-in-law, I heard that mother invited you to serve her illness yesterday. I originally wanted to go over, but mother did not like me. She was used to you serving her, so I did not go over. Min She was furious, but she didn't dare to flare up. She said submissively, Sister-in-law, serving mother is what I should do. Lu Shi pursed her lips. She didn't put Min She in her eyes at all. She looked at the coffin and said, Sister-in-law, this person can't compete with the heavens. If it's yours, then it's yours. If it's not yours, then it's not yours even if you die from exhaustion. Just like this Yun Chujio. She has a poor life and simply doesn't have the qualifications to be our Yi family's young miss. She even had the delusion of competing with Bingying. It really makes people laugh. Now, she has suffered retribution. Not even a corpse was left behind. How pitiful. Min She lowered her head and did not say anything. Yi Bingyu, who was at the side, could not help but sneer in her heart. In the end, the one who made people laugh might not be the one. When Lu Shi saw that Min She did not respond, she mocked and ridiculed a few more times. Then, she brought Yi Bingyu to stand on the other side. After a while, people came over one after another to pay their respects. Lu Shi and Yi Bingyu repeated the same old routine from yesterday. They met each other from both sides and were very pleased with themselves. Yi Bingyu recalled Yun Chujia's instructions and found an opportunity to send a voice transmission talisman to Old Master Yi. Old Master Yi's seniority was high, so he and a few elders of similar status were drinking tea and exchanging greetings in his courtyard. Although Old Master Yi's mood was not particularly bad, he was also very depressed. Although he did not have a deep relationship with Yun Chujio, the death of his great-granddaughter, whom he had just recognized, just like that really made people sigh. Old Master Yi realized that it was Yi Bingyu who sent him the voice transmission talisman and could not help but frown. Why did this girl Bingyu have no priorities? Why would she send a voice transmission talisman at this juncture? Old Master Yi thought for a moment and still found an excuse to go to the study room and take out the voice transmission talisman. Old Master Yi sent his spiritual sense in, then he heard Yi Bingyu say, "Great-grandfather, I want to tell you a piece of good news. Little Jiu is not dead. She is now hiding in the coffin. When the funeral begins, she will give you a surprise." Even though Old Master Yi was already an old fox that was impervious to all poisons, he was still shocked and almost threw out the sound transmission talisman in his hand. His first reaction was that the Bingyu girl had gone mad. However, he carefully thought about it. The Bingyu girl's words had a nose and eyes and did not seem crazy. He asked, "Bingyu girl, is what you said true? What exactly is going on?" "Great-grandfather, what I said is absolutely true. As for the specifics, I'm not sure either. When little Nine revives, let her tell you. I'm going to accompany the spirit and want reply to you." Old Master Yi was so angry that his beard stood up. Why did this Bingyu girl become so jumpy like little Nine? Could it be that little Nine girl really did not die? Chapter 23:33 Little Sister Jiu was the favored child of Tian Dao. Old Master Yi began to circle around the room. If little Jiu was not dead, why did she hide in the coffin? She even said that she wanted to give him a surprise. What was going on? Old Master Yi circled around a few times and suddenly stopped. He suddenly understood why Yun Chujio wanted to be resurrected in the coffin. The Yi family had spread the news that she had died of a sudden illness. Then, it would be most appropriate for her to be resurrected in the coffin. This little girl was quite meticulous. However, what was with the surprise that she had mentioned? And how did she escape death? And how did she sneak into the manor? Old Master Yi realized that this great-granddaughter that he had just recognized was really hard to fathom. As expected of Lan's daughter, she was indeed not an ordinary person. Forget it, since she wanted to keep him in suspense, then let's see what kind of tricks she had up her sleeves. Great-grandfather Yi calmed himself down before returning to the courtyard and drinking tea with the few elders. At 2:15 in the morning, it was time for the funeral. Everyone from the Yi family as well as those who came to pay their respects arrived at the spirit shed. Great-grandfather Yi glanced at the coffin but did not find anything unusual. He was a little suspicious. Was what Bingyu said true? The funeral was presided over by a professional and was explained according to the routine. Then, the members of the Yi family cried a few times at the right time. Then, it was time for the nail suppression segment, which was to use 7 long nails to nail the coffin to death. Just as the host finished speaking, Yi Zhiyong and Yi Zhihui took the hammer and long nails and were about to nail the coffin to death. At this moment, Yi Bingyu pounced on the coffin and wailed loudly, "Little ninth sister, you're so heartless. How did you die? I can't bear to part with you. Little ninth sister, we've only been together for a few days, and you're already dead like this. This sister's heart is about to be broken." Some of the madams who were attending the condolence saw Yi Bingyu crying so miserably that their noses felt a little sore. They didn't expect that the second miss of the Yi family was such an affectionate girl that she actually cared so much about this sister that she had just recognized. In comparison, not only did the corners of Yi Bingying's eyes and brows not show any grief, but there was even a proud expression on her face. TSK, she was really cold and indifferent. Lu Shi saw the expressions of everyone and was so angry that she gritted her teeth. She walked to the front of the coffin and advised, "Bingyu, little ninth girl has already passed away. Don't be too sad. It's better to bury her in the ground as soon as possible." Woo woo, no. First aunt, little ninth sister once said that she was the favored child of Tian Dao. Her aptitude is even better than sister Bingying. She will become a heaven's favorite in the immortal Yuan continent in the future. She will not die. Yi Bingyu cried like a crazy demon. When everyone heard Yi Bingyi's words, they could not help but whisper, the favored child of Tian Dao. Her aptitude is even better than Yi Bingying. That dead third Miss Yi is actually so outstanding. If that's true, then it would be such a pity. Lu Shi had yet to speak when Yi Bingying could not keep her cool. That damned Yun Chuzhou had fought with her for her favor when she was alive, and even after she died, she still wanted to suppress her. In her dreams. Bingyu, are you so sad that you're muddled? Little Jiu has a heavenly thunder spirit root, and that's a heavenly spirit root that Tian Dao doesn't tolerate. How can she be Tian Dao's favorite? Although Yi Bingying tried her best to make her words gentle, but there was still some questioning in her voice. I'm not muddle-headed. Although little sister Little Nine has a heavenly thunder spirit root, the Tian Dao has never punished her. She is the darling of the Tian Dao. Otherwise, how could a little girl from a lower continent become a student of the Xingtian Academy? Moreover, little sister Little Nine is a grade 10 alchemist. If she isn't the darling of the Tian Dao, then what is? Yi Bingyu said stubbornly while wiping her tears. Chapter 23:34, Yi Bingying who was angered when everyone heard Yi Bingyi's words, they started discussing again. What this Yi Bingyu said makes sense. If she was not tolerated by Tian Dao, how could she have lived to this age? She would have been wiped out by Tian Dao long ago. That's right, for a little girl from a low-grade continent to have the current level of spirit energy and pill refinement, she must be a favored child of Tian Dao. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to do it. No wonder Yi Bingyu said that third Miss Yes aptitude is even higher than Yi Bingying's. She has the heavenly thunder root, so naturally, her ordinary spiritual roots can't compare. Yi Bingying's face flushed red when she heard everyone's discussion. Originally, Yun Chuzhou was her inner demon. Now that she was dead, she was actually stronger than her. One could imagine the resentment in her heart. Lu Shi understood her daughter. She was afraid that she would say something inappropriate, so she gave her a look, then, she said to Yi Bingyu, Bingyu, even if what you said is true, little Jiu is already dead. Stop making trouble and let her rest in peace. No. Little sister Little Jiu will definitely come back to life. Tian Dao will not let her die. Little Jiu. Little Jiu. Wake up. Sob sob. Yi Bingyu cried as she patted the coffin lid. Inside, Yun Chuzhou was so angry that she was twitching. This idiot, was he trying to deafen her ears? He was too engrossed in the drama. Yun Chuzhou could only cover her ears with her hand. Now was not the time yet. It was only after a while that she would have a good opportunity to leave. Wuxia really could not hold it in any longer. She glared at Min Shi. Second brother's family, why aren't you pulling that last Bingyu up? What kind of shame is this? Min Shi really didn't do it on purpose. She was shocked by Yi Bingyi's actions. A mother knows her daughter like a mother. She felt that Yi Bingyi's actions were very abnormal, but she didn't look like she was crazy, so she didn't move. Now that she heard Wuxia's words, she could only walk up to Yi Bingyu and say gently, Bingyu, I know that you and little Jiu have a good relationship, but a person cannot be revived after death. Be obedient. As she spoke, Min Shi went to support Yi Bingyu. She did not expect Yi Bingyu to hug Min Shi's leg and cry again. Mother. Little ninth sister once told me that she would not die. I don't believe that she is really dead. If the coffin is nailed shut, little ninth sister will really not be able to live. Min Shi's eyes turned red. Silly child, how can a dead person be resurrected? Quickly get up. Don't delay the time for the burial. No. Little sister Jiu is the favored child of Tian Dao. She won't die. Her aptitude is better than sister Bingying's. She won't die, she will bring glory to the Yi family. As Yi Bingyu spoke, she continued to lie on top of the coffin and cry bitterly. The people who participated in the condolence sighed one after another. This Yi Bingyu was really a girl who valued relationships. In the past, they even heard that she was arrogant and domineering. It seemed that the rumors couldn't be completely believed. Yi Bingying's expression became even uglier. Every time Yi Bingyu said that Yun Chujio was stronger than her, the anger in her heart rose a little. She said to Yi Bingyu with a cold face, "Bingyu, it seems that you are really a demon. Not to mention that Yun Chujio is already dead. Even if she is not dead, the Yi family's name alone will not be her turn." The moment Yi Bingying's words left her mouth, everyone present was shocked. They were all shrewd people and immediately understood some of the mysteries behind it. It was likely that this Yi Bingying was very dissatisfied with the dead third Miss Yi. Lu Shi felt that things were not looking good and hurriedly added, "You child, you really can't put in a good word. Although you can't bear to see little ninth girl suffer, you can't say that either. Otherwise, people will misunderstand." Chapter 23:35 Little Sister Jiu came back to life. Only then did Yi Bingying realize that she had misspoken, and her face turned red. Following Lu Shi's words, she said, I was too sad, so I spoke without thinking. Little sister Jiu is the youngest, so we as brothers and sisters naturally have to dote on her a little. Everyone present was not a fool. If they felt sorry for their sister, why did they call her by her first name? Yi Bingyu called her little ninth sister, but she called her Yun Chujio. Gushi saw that her beloved granddaughter was embarrassed, and her face darkened. She glared at Yi Bingyu, then she said, "Don't dawdle. Boss, second, Dingzi. If she really is the darling of Tian Dao, unless it's raining red. She's just a good-for-nothing at the first level of the Ling Xian realm." Yi Yuanliang originally did not want to embarrass Gushi in front of so many people, but now he really could not bear it anymore. "Shut up. Bingyu girl, sigh. Get out of the way. If you miss the time, little nine girl won't be able to reincarnate easily." Gushi never thought that Yi Yuanliang would scold her in public. Her face was burning with anger, but she did not dare to say much. In her heart, she hated Yi Bingyu and decided to wait until the funeral was over. She would definitely find a good family to marry Yi Bingyu off. When Yi Bingyu heard Yi Yuanliang say this, she cried and said, little ninth sister, this is all I can do. Quickly wake up." Yi Bingyu cursed in her heart. It should be enough, right? Why isn't this guy coming out yet? Could it be that he's asleep? Min Shi pulled Yi Bingyu to the side. Yi Zhihui and Yi Zhiyong started to nail her. Yi Bingyu was a little flustered. What was going on? Could it be that little Jiu was really asleep? If the nails were all nailed to death, how could she come out? Could it be that the coffin had exploded? Old Master Yi looked on with a gloomy expression. On one hand, he was doubtful whether Yun Chujio was dead or not, and on the other hand, he was extremely disappointed with Yi Bingying. Putting aside whether she was cold-hearted or not, she actually could not keep her cool in front of so many people. It was definitely difficult for her to become a great person. When the crowd saw that Yi Zhihui and Yi Zhiyong had already started to nail the nails, they looked on dispiritedly. They originally did not have much hope for Yun Chujio's resurrection. They just wanted to use this opportunity to peek into the Yi family's conflict. Ding! Ding! Just as Yi Zhihui and Yi Zhiyong were about to nail the third nail, a faint sigh came from inside the coffin. "Idiot, why aren't you waking up?" Yi Zhihui and Yi Zhiyong were so scared that they almost collapsed on the ground. Everyone was also scared silly. Why was there an old man's voice inside the coffin?